Hey, we're live, pal. Well, actually, that's the wrong show. This is our watch along. Myself, Double G, we're watching Survivor Series. I got Chris De Petrillo. I got his son, Zach. We're going to have Jeremy join in a couple minutes. Zach, what's going on? Are you excited for Survivor Series?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite? I don't even know. Who's your favorite WWE wrestler right now?
Who's your favorite right now?
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy's your favorite right now out of everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's changed since Friday night.
you know that's actually really awesome because so my son, who doesn't watch wrestling anymore, he's into UFC, but he's not into wrestling. Well, let's get Jeremy on the stream here too. What's up, Jeremy?
Hi guys, how's it going?
So my son, when we were at WrestleMania 26, we're walking into the autograph session, and it's CM Punk and it's Luke Gallows doing side by side. And, Luke is a giant man, though thankfully he's sitting down in his chair, but still like a giant man sitting down. And my kid is, he would have been 11-ish, around there. And so we walk up, Luke Gallows, he's being very jovial, nice guy. He goes, "So who's your favorite wrestler?" to my youngest, and my youngest froze. And he would not say anything. And then, so we got our autographs and we walked away. And I was like, dude, like, why didn't you say anything? He's like, well, he's not my favorite wrestler. My favorite wrestler is Jeff Hardy. I was like, yeah, he's nobody's favorite wrestler. That's why he asked you the question. And he's like, oh, like, I didn't want to offend him. I didn't want him to get mad that I didn't say he's my favorite wrestler. So, Zach, in good company, because 10 years ago, 11 years ago, it was Jeff Hardy for my son too.
Yeah, you're not a big Gallows fan either. No, definitely not.
Nobody is. Nobody.
All right, so what we're gonna do here is, and I'll tell you kind of my thoughts on doing this is, if I had to watch this show by myself, I don't know if I would have gotten through it in one sitting and one live viewing. Thankfully, we have our Fight Game Media Network Facebook page, and quickly shout out to them so that everyone can see. And if you want to join, definitely join the group here. You can sort of see the thread that we have going on here. Actually, let's go to the actual. This is the Survivor Series thread. So we already got 31 comments in there. So definitely shoot over there if you want to join the Fight Game Media Network Facebook channel, Facebook group. That is there. So check it out. But yeah, so let's actually talk about some of the stuff that we're gonna watch. Who won, Damian Priest or Nakamura? I was talking to Zach when the finish happened.
Nakamura won, but Priest continued his heel turn, in which he was not happy about the loss, and he beat up Nakamura and stormed off petulantly.
Larry says he loves Gallows, by the way.
We have Vince McMahon showing up right now.
I saw the walk. I didn't know if that was like 5 years ago SummerSlam and they were just hoping we didn't notice, or if that was really
they just spliced in some footage just to make it seem like he's there and we should care.
He's holding a giant egg.
Are we getting the comeback of the gobbledygooker tonight?
Oh God.
Insert your WWE has laid an egg joke here.
Wow.
Gosh, like who would even remember that though? That's like a joke that is so inside.
Yeah, you've seen that.
That is a deep cut.
I mean, when the gobbledygooker happened, it was real. Like we thought something like really fun or exciting or new was going to happen, and then out popped the gobbledygooker. And the joke was on us. Like it was so disappointing because, that WWE didn't really, or WWF at the time didn't really do stuff like that to where, they were going to set something up for you to then feel like it was a letdown. They usually had a pretty good gauge of when those promises or when those things that they hyped, that they delivered. But no, not on that one at all.
So that was the age where I was not allowed to watch the pay-per-views yet, and we were probably on the road for my family, my brother and my sister doing club soccer at the time. And I'd have to wait 2 or 3 weeks until Superstars on the weekend would pop up to tell me what had happened. And then I remember being a kid and being in the middle of December and trying to understand, wait, a turkey? What? Huh? And trying to be told that this was an amazing thing that happened. And that did not, for a lack of a better term, fly.
But they did even on that night because you had Undertaker's debut.
Sure. Yeah.
You have your win and your loss right there.
But now, how many people knew who The Undertaker was when he came out?
I was, because I was a WCW fan, so I recognized
me too. I knew who he was. The thing about Mean Mark, though, Mean Mark was like a fake skyscraper because the only reason he was there is because Sid got hurt.
Yep.
So I always thought, it was kind of like back in those days, that every tag team was gigantic, the Master Blasters and all these guys. And so when the skyscrapers really came out, you're like, wow, these dudes are impressive. Like they were like what I would imagine the Road Warriors were like in the early 80s, just from the mere fact of they come on screen, obliterate everybody, and they're done. And then like the match is over. That's what Sid and Spivey were. Mm-hmm. So then when Sid gets replaced by Mean Mark, it's just like, gosh, they were so cool. And now this, this redheaded dude, like he just doesn't look, he doesn't look the same. He doesn't look as cool, but little would we know that he'd be the biggest star out of all those guys.
I remember when he did the job for Luger on a Clash and he jobbed to a clothesline in like 19 seconds.
Yes. Yeah. But, in hindsight, like Spivey, I think, Spivey in his older years, he sort of figured it out to where he didn't have to do a whole lot, but because he was like believable and, obviously wrestling in Japan and such. But when you look back and you see the stuff that Mean Mark was doing, you're like, wow, like we didn't see big guys do that stuff back then. So that's, that's part of the reason why he was really iconic when he came to. And then he has a gimmick where he just walks very slowly and doesn't do much of the athletic stuff that he could do until it was time. But yeah,
and at one point we had all three of the skyscrapers in the WWF because Spivey came in as Waylon Mercy, Sid was there, and obviously Undertaker was still there. So we actually had all three of them. And if the Waylon Mercy thing had actually taken off, I think he was just injury prone at the time. I think injuries is what did him in. But I mean, that was, I think that was the basis for the Bray Wyatt gimmick. You could see the similarities in those two gimmicks, and it would have been interesting going into the Attitude Era if Waylon Mercy took off to see where they could have gone with him.
Yeah. Immediately giving him a gimmick that was not Dan Spivey kind of like takes away the equity that would have come with why you bring him over. Like it's they always have to reinvent everybody, right? It's like, we got to build him into a new character. That's an old character. But there was some equity with hardcore wrestling fans with Dan Spivey. They didn't really, when Vicious came over as Sid Justice, they changed the name, but it was a sort of a long turn, and he was going to go back to being the Sid Vicious character that we knew. But when you just completely they did the same thing with Barry Windham, right? When both of those guys had been in WWF at some point earlier in their careers, they come back and they just changed them completely. Like the Widowmaker and the Blackjack and Waylon Mercy. It was like, we don't want anybody to associate you with the stardom that you would have brought over from the other company, which is the exact opposite of what AEW does today, right? AEW is like, you built up so much equity with this other company, we're going to utilize that equity and then allow you to also be yourself while we're doing it. Like, would they get the best of both worlds doing it that way?
And they even did it to Kerry Von Erich. I mean, he wasn't a gimmick, but they just kept focusing on the Texas Tornado tagline and moniker that they were just phasing any mention of being a Von Erich out. And they weren't even acknowledging his family history in Dallas and World Class or anything like that.
All about, commercializing and marketing and all that stuff. All right, so it looks like we're going to start with Roman and Big E, huh? That's going to be opening match.
Yeah. I kind of thought about a scenario for this match that they could do that plausibly ties in everything together. I would love to see Big E win this match. I think the Roman, it being a non-title match, some type of shenanigan, I think him losing would be totally fine. I don't believe the company feels that way. I think Roman's going to go through this as a champion. But if he doesn't win, I think somehow, some way, ambiguity about Brock Lesnar's theme song playing near the end of the match would cause Roman to get distracted. Big E hits his ending, and he would win 1, 2, 3 with a comeback match of the Bloodline and the New Day, maybe on New Year's Day.
So remind me of what happened when it was Evolution versus the Shield. Were there any singles matches with those guys, or did they only do the tags?
I believe it was
They
only
only did the tag.
Okay. Because while I think the music is kind of lame in doing it, but that's definitely WWE and what they would do if they wanted that finish. I would actually, what I would have done here is I would have made this the tag team match instead of doing the singles match, because at least the tag team match would be hot and you could have as clean of a finish as you wanted. And, you could have the good guys win here and everybody be happy. But I know, for whatever reason, they're so sticklers for certain things, even though they aren't for other things. But I would have switched this one. I would have made this the tag, because I think the match will be even better as a tag, because they don't have to worry about screwing the audience in any way if it's a tag team match. But I want to get Zach's thoughts. Zach, if you had to pick, who do you think is going to win between Big E and Roman Reigns?
Big E.
Not Big E to win?
How do you think he's going to win? Is he just going to hit his big move, the big ending, and he's going to pin him?
You think anyone would come out? Any run-ins? Interference?
Distraction?
The Usos will come out.
Think the Usos would come out?
And then the New Day.
Oh, so it'd be like a brawl on the floor? Like everyone would be brawling on the floor?
How WWE, like if this was Raw, you would get the one-on-one match, and then it would turn into the 6-way, right? If this was Raw, like, what if they were just like, we booked ourselves into a corner. We're going to have a little bit of a schmaz about 10 minutes in, and then we're going to do a 6-way instead.
Now, what if you do, to Jeremy's point, instead of doing the music thing, what if you kind of lean more into that whole thing with Heyman? Like, is he still involved with Lesnar? Like, is he still kind of playing both sides against the middle type thing? And have him not give Roman the belt for a belt shot, or he drops something, or like something that he costs Roman the match. And then you kind of play into that story, since they want to extend Brock till Mania. You could go that route as well, because at least at that point, it's kind of a cheap finish. It's kind of a cop-out to give Big E the victory. But in the grand scheme of things, it's still telling that Heyman story.
I think it serves many masters when you go that approach, because you want to forward the progression of Big E as a dominant champion, and you want to make sure that people are compelled coming into this story what's going on with Paul Heyman and Roman. I think you're probably right. I think it's probably going to be more of a Paul Heyman emphasis if there is a clever pivot of how they get through that match. I don't think it'll be hit you over the head and it'll continue that. I have a question about the motives here, but that's definitely the direction I feel like they're going. And the fact that it's opening the show and not anywhere else just makes me think that they want you to forget about how this match finishes as quickly as possible.
So here's a question, because Jeremy reached out to me earlier today, and he was like, I want to do the segment on this main event because I'm very interested in this main event. And I said, well, what if Charlotte and Becky is the actual main event? This is before we knew what was going to happen. And so, like, to me, Charlotte and Becky has been positioned as the main event the whole time. But to Jeremy, Big E and Roman Reigns was the main event. Chris, what which one did you consider to be the main event?
I think the women are getting the main event nod, especially with all of the outside of the ring drama going on. I think that's.
I don't think they are. I think they. Oh, maybe they aren't. They just showed a match.
I just saw the match graphic for them. So were they saying that they're
Right?
starting with the women? I just saw them.
It might have
post
been
the countdown
it
show
might have
that
been
way.
the end of the pre-show, and then that's how they.
I think that's what it was.
That.
So
Okay,
I'm sure they could always change things, but Sean Ross Sapp a couple hours ago posted that Roman was going to open and Charlotte and Becky was going to be the main event.
And they feel like more like a main event because I think that they have a stronger program.
Yeah,
because they've been at each other's throats. Like Big E and Roman, it feels forced because you know that Roman's focused on Brock Lesnar, and Big E's getting the strong focus on Raw, but then you're kind of thrusting him into this spotlight against Roman, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't click. Like there's too many outside factors going on. It doesn't vibe as a program. I'm sure they'll have a very good match, but it's just not a strong program.
By the way, Sean did tweet about 15 minutes ago and said that there's been a significant change to tonight's Survivor Series lineup compared to today's plan. So they may have just moved everything around.
Did we change the Raw and SmackDown?
I had a question in my mind if they're going to have some type of schmaltz with the Roman and the Usos match, how that would play a part with the logic of the Usos tag match. And so I wonder if that kind of logical booking might they realize they had to go and account for.
So we're about to get started. They're doing the video package to open Survivor Series, but I just wanted to show the jersey that I'm wearing today. And the only reason I'm showing this is because we are talking about a WWE pay-per-view, and my 49ers beat Tony Khan's Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our 49ers.
Yeah, I'm wearing the jersey. You're wearing a Roman Reigns shirt.
You know I show up for game day.
But
we're just wearing Abercrombie stuff over here.
There you go. But the 49ers took care of business against the Jaguars, the poor Jaguars. Oh, there you go. I like Zach's shirt there. I like the colors in Zach's shirt for sure.
Yep.
The 49ers just beat the bumps off of the Jaguars today. It was pretty decisive. Jaguars are not good, but sometimes when the 49ers play games, they're supposed to win. They don't look good. They look good today. But yeah, I just had to mention that. I did tell Tony that, I hope the Jaguars do well. Like they're the number one pick. They have a couple players that I like on fantasy who haven't done anything for me. But also, Tony, it's the guy who runs AEW. That's his squad. You wish for them to do fairly well.
And I'm sure you'll mention the victory on the next Observer Radio.
Yeah, well, I want to mention it so that the next time the Niners play here, then we'll get a little bit of action on the game or something.
Friendly bet, friendly wager.
As an aside, today was the day where I felt like my Brandon Ayuk trade in a certain league has definitely paid off for me instead of the other way around.
Yeah, who did you trade?
I traded away Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell for Brandon Ayuk in week 1.
Good trade, because I traded for Antonio Brown 3 weeks ago, and he has not played yet.
Nope.
And I'm just sitting on him with his ankle injury and supposed fake vaccine card. And
I wanted no part of that guy. I was like, can I trade him? Can I get rid of him? I'm going to get rid of him.
Le'Veon Bell, is he even playing in Kansas City?
He's gone. I think he's done everywhere now. Like he's done his annual mobile home trip around the league, and
he was the single greatest fantasy football player there for like 2 years.
Yes, held out for a year and was never better again.
Yeah,
I have not even checked anything with football today because we spent the afternoon watching Ghostbusters and came home, had dinner, and got ready to hang out with you guys.
That sounds like an excellent evening. So, okay, I have a question for you. Did Ray Parker Jr. get paid again? Is that song all over the movie?
It is not all over the movie, but it is in the movie.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I like it when Mr. Ray Parker gets paid.
There are many nods to the original. Like you definitely get quite a few callbacks to the originals, to the cartoon. There's basically the entire Ghostbusters franchise minus the 2016 one is revisited in some form.
I think they're opening with this women's match. I'm seeing the graphic again. Maybe not. Maybe because I can't hear the audio, so maybe they're just teasing it. They're gonna. But I'm seeing the women again, and I'm seeing a video package with Charlotte and Becky. So they may have flip
You're
flopped
showing the
here.
graphic. So who's going to win this one, Becky or Charlotte?
Becky.
Charlotte.
You want Charlotte to win?
I'm kind of with Zach on this one.
You got a reason why? You just want her to win? You're against Becky tonight? See, usually when I'm going for Bianca Belair, he's all about Becky. He's like, why don't you like Becky Lynch anymore? I'm like, well, I do. I'm just going
in the pit of your stomach, you think Charlotte? Just when you're like, who do I want? Charlotte.
I think it's okay. So here's my scenario here. So Charlotte is now. I don't know the behind the stage stuff. I don't know. I know they're they both have some clout, right? You have to. They're both big stars. Charlotte, I would imagine, is a little bit more vocal about how things go in matches. I know she's complained about way more than others backstage about input into stuff. And I just think if you want to use the heat off of this thing, and let's say this is going to be a WrestleMania match, I think the heat is if Charlotte wins, and maybe, just maybe, we get Becky back to being a babyface where she's absolutely tremendous instead of this fake heel character that she does. And this is not an effort thing because she busts her butt. Look at the shape that she's in. She's acts like a star. Her promo game is on point, but she's just the crowd does not want to see her as a heel. So I would utilize this time for Charlotte to continue to get heat and to do the sort of slower turn of Becky turning back babyface. That's what I would do here.
When we were live in Providence a couple of weeks ago, she got thunderous cheers. Like there was barely any boos when she came out. And I love her. I've been a fan of the character for a while. And I mean, even before the whole, not resurgence, but her surge in popularity. And I don't get into this whole Conor McGregor cosplay big time X thing. I don't get into it. I mean, he's still a fan. I mean, well, who's your favorite out of all the girls? Is it still Sasha Banks? Yeah. Yeah,
Sasha's my favorite too.
But I wonder if they're going to give us another nod to the Survivor Series that they can't escape, that being 97, and we've got a match with outside the ring heat, and do they go the screw job route and start playing off that to try to wink at people like us?
Hey, and this is exactly what Larry said, right? Are they going to do a screw job this early in the show? Jeremy has mentioned that. My buddy Corey has mentioned that. And I'm kind of going the other way, saying the real way to get engagement and to get communication and talk out of this show is to just have a great match. Even if you have to have a little bit of a wonky finish, do it for heat. Don't do it to screw with your fan base, which is kind of, what they always do. So I want to just see a great match. You could even have a little bit of a funky finish to keep the heat, but you don't have to do the Montreal screw job thing, because the majority of this fan base, and we know what the ratings say as far as the highest demo. How many times have we seen it? So many times, right? So it's just lame, just becomes lame.
I think you touched on a great point with the screw job thing. The whole idea for me was this felt like a massive PR campaign to get people interested rather than a build for a wrestling match. And all I want out of this is two of the best women performers in the world to go out there and have a banger of a match. I kind of think that you might have the Adam Pearce full on heel turn commence with ringing the bell. We'll see who the referee is out there while we're doing this, see what's going on there. But I want them to have a good match. They're the best. Go have a good match.
So shout out to Melzino Music, man. Thanks for jumping on. We're going to have to check out your YouTube page. I'm assuming it's a music page. We'll have to check it out. So, Zach, your dad just said that you guys got to see a live WWE show not too long ago. How was that one?
Good.
What did you get to see?
Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio.
Was that a good match? I like Austin Theory a lot. What so was that? I'm trying to think of what show that was. Chris.
It was 3 weeks ago. It was when Owens fought Big E in the main event.
Got it. Okay.
I'm
So,
going
yeah,
to
we were there
briefly
live,
mention
yeah.
in here. I'm going to briefly mention here. Charlotte is looking remarkably like she is the partner of a certain individual in AEW with the way that she is dressed. She strikes me as giving a total tribute to Andrade right now.
Good for her. I like it. Yeah, John Quinn, our buddy from San Jose, says, I thought that this was the main event. Yeah, us too. We're watching this going like,
What the what?
And then love from the UK. Thank you, Melzino Music. Love it. I love, one of the best things about doing something like this is I have met, Jeremy included, Chris included, I've met so many people through social media, through Facebook, through F4W, through meet and greets, through conventions, and then you get to do stuff like this. So maybe at one point we'll get to see, get to see Melzino Music at some point. Maybe
Add it to the crew.
Yeah,
that is a babyface Becky right there.
Now, is Charlotte wearing black, or is that just like navy blue? Because I'm saying, is it symbolic that she's wearing black, that she's the heel in the match?
It looks black to me.
Yeah.
You think it's navy blue? Even if you whisper to me, they can hear you.
You should just say it, Zach. As long as it's not a bad word, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, no swearing.
So John's ready to jump on with us later. I'll probably just send out the link to as many people as possible when we get to this last hour. We'll have a whole panel of folks. All right,
okay,
so
now it feels like a match to me.
Yeah, so Becky is wearing a full leather bodysuit.
It's like a leather version of Mae Young's suit.
I was thinking like Eddie Murphy Delirious.
She needs more zippers.
Yeah.
It's the basic costume of the Scarlet Witch, actually.
Yes. Good, but actually, yeah, with the red hair and everything, dude, all she needs is the tiara.
Yeah.
Becky is more athlete than sort of diva up, I would say. But she's a little cheeky in this outfit. I'm actually kind of surprised.
I do appreciate how we are not starting in typical WWE fashion where these blood rivals go for a lockup and a headlock. They are just tossing each other around and tackling each other. Like, they don't do this with the guys' matches. They're actually doing it with the women's match. So good for them.
One of the first matches or shows that Garrett and I started talking to each other was the TLC in San Jose, and in that match was the Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins match.
Yes,
where they had the blood feud.
Yes,
and it started out with headlocks and takedowns.
Yep.
They did have the best lumberjack match in recent memory, though, when they went brawling all through the arena and the lumberjacks were trying to follow them and get them back to the ring, and just like the arena riot that they had. I was a fan of that match.
What is your take on Charlotte in the media? She has been very vocal about the fact that as a woman, she is sort of expected to look a specific way versus her male counterparts who can sort of grow old with their characters. I don't know how old Randy Orton is, but his whole thing about this Survivor Series is how long he's been in WWF and how many pay-per-views and how many matches. And it feels like Charlotte is saying, women aren't sort of allowed to, she feels like maybe she won't be allowed to do that in this company. And it's kind of interesting because the woman is in such tremendous shape. I think she's in her mid-30s, but theoretically, she's in great shape. She's got really strong genetics. She could be doing this at a top level to me for another 5 years. But I kind of wonder, what's the point of her? Like, did something happen that made her think that maybe, you know, her time on top is not as long as her male counterparts?
I think that she is her father's daughter, and I think that she might have some of because I mean, Rick, as much as he was the nature boy Ric Flair, I mean, when you look at some of the things that he said and done over the years, he had his insecurities, and I think that's part of the reason why he felt he needed to turn it up to level 11 24/7.
Yeah.
And I think that she is kind of getting ahead of the game and kind of putting these things out there so that if something happens to her, she could almost kind of put the blame on that. Like she's kind of covering her bases that if her, troublesome attitude or the heat backstage or whatever kind of does her in, she could kind of spin it another way and look like the hero.
Do you think it's social media? Because you guys check Twitter, you guys see how mostly dudes are on social media when it comes to the women wrestlers. In some cases they're like glowingly praiseful, but in the other ends, they're just really, really mean-spirited. And like, I would hate for it to be Charlotte watching Twitter and going like, this is what I see from people who are very hard on me. Because I've loved her look, like her athletic look, the tall volleyball player body like that. I'm like, wow, you stand out. You're impressive. You look like an athlete. You look like someone who could kick some butt.
She was a gymnast, right? She's built like a gymnast. Like she has the body type for the athleticism and for what she was into and what she wanted to be.
To me, I feel like the circumstances predicated the situation. Her personality and a sense of self-preservation, I think, probably are the main contributing factors to how she's being perceived right now. I suspect that things really started going in a direction that was not great for her when she couldn't really navigate getting out of that Lacey Evans angle with her father way back. That really seemed like the beginning of the frustrations. And I do think she still has the same amount of power that she's always had, but the level of allies that she has backstage with her father and her partner and a number of other people being gone that she was close to, and the people that are there she's no longer being close to, she kind of made her bed in a way, and now it's just navigating that self-preservation. I don't necessarily consider her to be the villain in any of this, but I think that I've said this elsewhere. I think a lot of narratives are trying to be set up to paint her that way.
Okay, but so maybe I'll state it even more directly.
Okay.
Are we as fans sort of to blame here in the expectation of what a WWE female superstar should look like? And now it's not us, right? It's Vince's presentation. It's what Vince has taught us is supposed to be what a wrestler superstar looks like. But are we partially to blame here for Charlotte to maybe be a little bit insecure about like, hey, it's much harder for women to keep their looks or their athleticism, that they have nature working against them a little bit more than guys do when it comes to that. That's the part where I feel really badly for her, because she is if she was a guy, she would have so many more years left on top if she wanted, because the pressure from male wrestling fans wouldn't be like, I literally don't care what Randy Orton looks like. I just care about the way that he wrestles. Now, if he got, if he let himself go a little bit, I'm sure people would make fun of him, but it does seem like Charlotte believes those rules are different for her.
I think it's 50-50. I think it's the way, first of all, no one should be looking to Twitter for any form of inspiration or confidence, or we're just circling the drain with Twitter, especially with how people can treat other people from behind a computer screen. But I think it's 50-50. To your point, I think that fans have been conditioned through the fault of WWE having Johnny Ace do these diva searches, hire the Candice Michelles and the girls that really they churned and burned out through the mid to late 2000s.
Yeah.
And now we have the women on equal ground with the men. We have tremendous athletes. We have women who are bona fide mainstream celebrities and stars, like Charlotte herself. She was doing Psych movie on USA. You know, she's done outside projects. She's one of their go-to people. And I think that she is right in the sense that it's been just the norm for WWE for years to have that level of treatment. And even though these girls like her and Becky and Sasha broke through, especially you see it now with all these cuts and the mentality, it's almost like we're going back to our mistakes. And I think that could be something that she could see, you know, in the cards as well.
It's a valid observation too, because I think right now the latest idea is that they're not looking for anybody older than at 28 to jump in there with the youth movement. If you're hearing that the talent is to be no older than this age, and you're circling the drain at 10 years older than that, that's going to put an undue level of unfair pressure on you to have to prove your worth when you've already done so dozens upon dozens of times before.
Okay, but do you think the guys feel the same way? All the main eventers on the guys' side are as old or older than Charlotte.
I don't think they do, but I would not be surprised if in the near future that mentality changes.
Mm-hmm. This is a good match. I mean,
this is a great match.
Without hearing the crowd, I can't tell. I'm like, you know, you're trying to like visually see what the crowd is doing, but these women are, you know, they're so good.
No, it's a hot start. We were just looking. Zach was paying attention to the missed top rope moonsault into the standing moonsault. They're just, I mean, for whatever beef they have or whatever, they are definitely giving it their all in this ring tonight. This is a really good match so far. What do you think?
They've gone 15 minutes.
Those boots, those boot covers for Becky seem to be a little bit of a bummer to work with.
So, you know, you are live on YouTube, so you can't change your pick because people will remember that you picked Charlotte. So if you say, no, I picked Becky, we have it on recording. So I think we're changing your mind.
I'll give you a mulligan, though. I'll let you change your mind once.
See, Jeremy said you can change your mind for one match tonight. Is it going to be this one or is it going to be another one?
No.
Another one? Okay. We'll hang on to that.
All right. Just to keep Zach interested, I'm going to throw a wild card question at him.
Anybody.
Are you excited for Cobra Kai season 3?
Yes.
Who's your favorite on Cobra Kai? Which is your favorite character?
Johnny.
Oh, there we go.
So, Garrett, what did we find this week? What did we collect this week?
Ninja Turtles versus Karate Kid.
I know your dad showed it to me. That was really cool. So I was talking to Jim Valley yesterday. Did an interview with Jim Valley. It's going to run on the Patreon on Wednesday night. It's going to run on the F4W website and the Fight Game podcast feed on Wednesday night. And then I'll also have the YouTube video because we did a video version of the show. That'll be up. And he showed me his arcade. He's got the stand-up WrestleFest arcade in his game room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. He's also got a Simpsons. He's got a Simpsons pinball game. He's got a what did he have? He had a Centipede stand-up. He had a Miss Pac-Man stand-up cabinet, and then there was another sit-down one that he had. I think there was like a bunch of games in one, but it was pretty cool. He brought the camera all the way down just to see his room. He took us in the tour of Casa de Valle.
That's awesome. There is a Simpsons arcade one up because you have the NBA Jam. They just released the Simpsons cabinet, and this little guy's a big Simpsons fan, so that might be something we look into one of these days.
He's that was great. The big boot. He was kind of thumbing his nose a little bit at the arcade one or the 1-up ones because for the 4-player games, like I don't know if you've tried to play 4-player game on one of them, but you are very tight and packed in. Like 4 normal adults are like squeezing in tight trying to play.
Yeah, they're very
yeah. So he was like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have the big cabinets if you really want to play for real.
We went to an arcade over the summer and we found the Simpsons game, and it was the first time he had played it. But he binged every season on Disney Plus over the past year and a half. So he's like totally into The Simpsons. So we spent most of the day playing that. He didn't want to try anything else.
Where do you find an arcade? I haven't seen an arcade.
There is a casino in Connecticut right over the border that my father is a retired firefighter who decided after he retired that he would go and deal high stakes blackjack for a while. And so he's got quite a few friends that are still up there, and they gifted Zach with some credits to the arcade. So we spent the afternoon in the arcade and then went out for lunch up there.
Nice. This thing is vicious.
That is the most gambling that I have pretty much ever done in my life, is swiping a card for arcade credits as opposed to putting my money into a slot machine.
Becky's about to go to the top rope here.
They are giving it tonight.
Oh, that did not look like it felt nice. She missed a leg drop off the top rope. Foot on the rope.
Oh, no, just the kicks.
You're a few seconds ahead of me.
I got the good stream. I'm usually the one who's behind on the stream.
I might pop out and pop back in and see if it'll work in a second. Might catch up. Wait till after the match.
Now, see that spot right there. I think they look like a miscommunication.
Oh,
I think that was one of the spots that they made to look like a miscommunication.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but Becky's going a little nature boy on us. They're using some choice language in this match too.
Yeah, me too. She's on the top rope right now. Oh,
it's crazy how
that was a little sloppy.
It's crazy how we're all sort of on the same stream, and I don't know what the rules are for streaming when it comes to that, but like what is allowable for us to be watching this thing together? Like, can you be 2 minutes behind the live feed and still be technically live? I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, I can see the setup right here.
Charlotte's got this one braid that keeps going right down the middle of her face that she's going to continually like move it away, because she's got the two braids and the one just keeps falling right in the middle.
They're shooting, Garrett.
Chris, you may want to pop out and pop back in. You're starting to delay on us a little bit. Your video's freezing. Your video's freezing a little bit too. Jeremy, I think you're muted.
All right, so Becky just got hit outside of the ring. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I am like 10 seconds ahead of you, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I jumped out, jumped back in, and then yeah. This is a tremendous match.
It's a really good match.
And the crowd turns onto it. I turned off the mic for a second to hear the crowd and kind of pick up what they were saying without getting into trouble with YouTube.
Yeah. I think I may go watch this match tomorrow morning, just so I can hear the crowd. Not that I want to hear the stupid announcers, but I do want to hear the crowd to see how they're reacting to this.
This does remind me a lot of that Evolution match that they had.
Mm-hmm.
This is that level of intensity. Both of these women are wrestling like they want to prove that they're the best.
It's awesome.
It is everything I want to see out of a wrestling match.
Yeah.
We have
Oh.
returned turned. Here we go.
What a heel move.
Okay, so it was the
What's going
opposite
on, bud?
of what
They're
I
hitting-
thought was going to happen. So Charlotte's actually the sympathetic character here in this story. Unless they restart it. It's still a really good match. I was even fine with the finish. How far behind us are you, Chris?
She doesn't have that shocked, what the hell reaction. She's just kind of like,
She was like, her reaction was like, of course I was going to get screwed in this match. That's what her reaction was. But it was almost like, I got beat at my own game, but of course she beat me by cheating. Even though
we're watching Becky parade around with the belt right now, and Charlotte's grabbing her belt.
I'm 100% fine with that ending. 100%.
Oh, that's good.
Just walk away.
I do wish, and maybe this happens on Raw or SmackDown, but I do wish that they had some sort of thing that would go, okay, I want to see this again, or when are we going to see this again, or whatever. I didn't.
No, you wanted Charlotte to win. What do you think about that? You have no response to that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This to me says more.
You
than
want to
anything
talk
else,
about it because
they
Becky
have no
won?
program in the future.
Well, what do you? Okay,
You had your chance to choose. You saved it for another match, though.
Chris, I don't know what's up with your camera. You're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5 seconds behind all of us. I think even the audio part, you're quite a bit behind us. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so let's book WrestleMania. I mean, we're only 5 months away. For the women's programs, what matches would you like to see them build up to?
I think you got to do the go back on Becky and Bianca on the Raw side. Anything short of that from the SummerSlam angle would be a disservice to Bianca and the effort that they've invested into her. As for the SmackDown side, I could see Charlotte losing the title to somebody before Mania and someone else doing a chase, either Sasha chasing or someone chasing Sasha. Be it somebody who wins at the Rumble and then they do a program there and then you pivot Charlotte to maybe some type of legacy angle with another woman that is out there in the periphery that they could bring and kind of play up that aspect. That to me sounds like the direction.
Yeah, the match that I want to see, and I don't like multi-person matches, but Sasha, Becky, Charlotte,
Bailey
in a three-way would be awesome. And then on the other side, you'd have Bianca and Bailey. Like I don't know how it would happen when you have to sort of split all the different rosters and women. I don't know how that piece of it would work. But as far as like what I want to see, I want to see those two matches: triple threat for one of the belts, and then Bailey against Bianca for one of the other belts.
I wonder if they do Bailey and Charlotte.
Bailey and Charlotte. Yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Bailey is the face.
All right, Chris, have you stopped freezing on us? I don't think so. I think you're still freezing on us. Live streaming, folks. Live streaming.
Ooh, we have an NXT commercial. War Games.
Okay, here's an interesting question for you, Jeremy.
Sure.
From Larry. Why can't the AEW women be half as good as Becky and Charlotte?
This is third time. Is the third time the charm?
That
A little bit of a
little laggy. Why can't the AEW women be half as good as Becky and Charlotte? It's all about the presentation and the equity that you put into the women so far. You only have 4 women that you can argue that they put such power behind in AEW. Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, Riho, and DMD. So without the time and the build and like the investment into the women, they're not going to be at that level. That's not to say that they won't be, but right now they're not there as much as I like to argue that there are women like Serena Deeb that are just as good as them, and rightfully so for the amount of time that they spend in the business.
I mean, Serena Deeb has had some really good matches. She doesn't have the level of that type of opponent for sure in AEW. I just think when it comes to Charlotte and Becky and Sasha and Bianca, you're talking about just a high level of talent and women who have been working day in and day out for several years now. So that's why they're better. They may also just be more talented, but I don't think a Thunder Rosa or a Shida. I think Deeb, if you're just talking in the ring, if you're just talking bell to bell, I think Deeb can definitely go with them, but she's nowhere near the promo, nowhere near the presence, nowhere near the stature of those 4. So just to answer Larry's question, I just think that they're better. I think they are better talent. And look, here's how the game changes for AEW, right? Is when these women become free agents, you pay them a lot of money and bring them to your company. Like that's how the game changes for AEW when it comes to the women, and also continue to build up the women that you have. Continue to build up Jade. Continue to build up Ruby Riott, Chris Statlander, of course, Deeb, Shida, all those women as well. Nyla Rose, like they're going to get better more than likely because they're going to continue to have more matches, and as you bring over some new women that they're going to have matches with as well, then they'll have better matches because there's different style, like all of those things. So I think they'll improve for sure. But you're talking about like 4 of the best women wrestlers in wrestling history, really, or in U.S. wrestling history.
Yeah, I think one of the ways of looking at it too is you are building up several women in the division over at AEW, and by the time that, and I know nothing here, but if you were to throw a dart at somebody and say Charlotte would head over there, by the time that happens, how many women are going to have built up their level of respectability, both in ring and promo, so that when she gets there, it's a almost Brian Danielson scenario where they're coming in and just mixing and matching with the roster, and you're finding where their level is on the card based off of how they're utilized in, and you're also getting that level of experience from another company and working them in to the company there. It's undeniably an advantage for everybody involved.
All right, let's give Chris and Zach one more chance here. I'm still seeing it glitch out a little bit. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, one more shot.
Yeah, it looks like it's just glitching out pretty badly. I think, Chris, you're like 10 seconds behind my question, unfortunately. So,
are we better? Are we
I gotta
worse?
give.
Yeah, we can.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I gotta give Austin Theory credit. He has managed to find a spot for himself on this roster. He bypassed a number of people for this availability on this Raw roster after I did a little bit of research figuring out how many people were in fact eligible that they could put onto this team. He jumped to the top of the list pretty quick. The people that were available to wrestle on the Raw roster for men and not either in a title match or in a tag team currently were Edge, R-Truth, Reggie, Apollo, T-Bar, Veer, Commander Aziz, and Akira Tozawa.
Wow. That's a list.
Everyone else was involved in the build to the team, including Dominic and Rey Mysterio, who were in one of the said tag teams that I mentioned before.
The joke about how can it be about brand loyalty when you all just moved over, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was. That is the hardest thing to believe when it comes to this stuff. There was something with, what did Scrap Daddy say? Is there a monetary bet going on, or there was something about that?
They might have gotten a bonus as being a participant of the team and being on the winning side, but it would have been such a throwaway line that 50% of the audience missed.
But I do wish, so for instance, why do people care about the NBA All-Star Game? Well, you get to see all the stars play against each other on a team. They don't really get to team up with each other, but there's also a small monetary prize, but there's also, what you would consider bragging rights. When you're the best, you want to beat the best. They need to figure out with these matches what matters, because if you're just like LeBron James says, I want to win it for, the West, but really I want to test myself against some of these better players because I know I'm the best player. This game is an exhibition. But we're entertaining the fans. For these guys to go, I'm all in for Team Blue or I'm all in for Team Red. Nobody cares in the All-Star game really which side wins. They just want to see the great players. And in this build, it's like, oh no, we want them to care about which side wins, but nobody actually does care which side wins. So the build to this stuff is so off, and it's not like WWE can't just go, oh, the NBA All-Star Game, oh, the NHL All-Star Game, Major League Baseball All-Star Game. How do they do these meaningless stakes and get 8 million people to watch these games? Someone needs to study that.
The thing that we kind of went back and forth in the forum about this. One argument was to move the draft back to April.
Yes, this is part of your article that you wrote.
Yeah. Part of the argument about moving it back to April is that the reset after WrestleMania would be a logical approach. But everything that we've seen from programming is that programming drives the content, not the content driving the programming.
Sure.
So if the programming is king, their programming is going to supersede everything else. So the draft, it being on TV, is more important than a Peacock show.
Sure.
I don't agree with that, but their TV ratings matter more. And if October to them says that this is the time, then you can't have a draft and then 6 weeks later put everybody up and say, hey, we just drafted you, show us how loyal you are, but make it completely ambiguous. I think moving it to the other side of the year, after you've established some stakes and some level of quote unquote brand loyalty, would be the way to go. But you can't force them to do things that they don't want to do, that as we've seen. But we're gonna have a match here. I would like for the fans in general to have a side that they pick, like a team, and not feel like the team won by cheating or indecisive finishes. Nothing that makes you feel like, oh, this team beat the other, as opposed to like a random punch in the face when you weren't looking, as if you didn't realize how important this match was.
So Chris jumped out. Unfortunately, his video was just behind for whatever reason. He says that Zach's got to hit the sack and says Team SmackDown for the win. Thanks to Zach and Chris for jumping on with us. And we're going to bring a couple more people on here in a bit. We also have some people who want to come on for the last hour. So there will be more people to talk than just myself and Jeremy. But so as we talk about this match, the upcoming Team Raw versus Team SmackDown on the men's side, I think the idea that you could lose your spot is a solid one. But why would anybody care if they lose their spot is the part that I don't get. So Aaliyah,
this is a little dark, but you could lose your job, Garrett.
Oh, but it doesn't matter. So many people are losing their job anyways. It didn't have to do with anything related to Team Raw or Team SmackDown.
But they still don't want to lose their job. I don't want anybody to lose their job.
Yeah, 100%. So like for instance, like Aaliyah, for Aaliyah, I guess it does make a little bit of sense where she's brand new, she gets this big win, she's excited, so excited that she pukes right on live TV.
Oh my goodness. There was a very nuanced little story there that I think a lot of people missed. What essentially happened was Aaliyah was aligned with Naomi. Aaliyah pinned Natalya with help from Naomi, clotheslining Natalya's neck on the ring rope, allowing Aaliyah to get the pin. Sonya was pissed that Naomi helped and punished Aaliyah because she got the victory with Naomi's help. So this was all born back to Sonya being pissed that Naomi got one over on a team she favored.
Okay, are they trying to make it look like it's only minorities who she's mad at? She being
that of the Sonya Deville.
I mean, what nationality is Sonya? Sonya's. I would imagine she's a nationality as well, right?
I believe she is of a Middle Eastern nationality.
Right.
That's what I believe, but I could be wrong. SmackDown has 9 active women wrestlers, Garrett. 9.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
7 of them were involved in the angle. One of them hasn't debuted yet. The other is champion. They didn't have a whole lot of things to work with when it came to the incorporation of this roster. I looked at how many women they have on this roster. One of them is Alexa Bliss, who I do not count as an active wrestler.
Well, how many do they need would be my question.
I mean, 7 did it. 7 did the trick. You can do programming and whatnot.
I mean, I think
they're getting by.
At some point, do you sense that there will ever be an equal amount of men's matches and women's matches on a card?
No. Not in WWE, not in the next 5 years.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing for AEW, right? Like it would actually be very surprising if they were able to put 3 women's matches on a show, because it's not to say that they don't have enough women that would allow for 3 matches, but you would have to bump other programs that are a little bit more meaningful. Now, the flip side is that someone may say, well, yeah, it's because they don't push them like their main eventers. So there's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing there. But I don't think that they need, well, I'll take that back. They have tag belts, or they did have tag belts. So maybe you do need, up to 10 so that you have a tag division as well. But let's see if Steven can jump on here with us. Steven, what's up?
Hey guys, appreciate it. I'm doing a run in here. Apparently, we had to have somebody glitched out early.
Yeah, we were gonna save Steven for the last hour. I know that
just couldn't help myself.
Steven had mentioned to me that he's a little bit under the weather, but I think we're gonna give it a shot here.
Give it a try. I apologize for if I sound a little stuffy. It's because I am.
So Steven has been writing a lot about WWE. He wrote the preview for Survivor Series on the website. You come in as our one of our WWE writers at a time where, I don't know, it's maybe not the easiest to write topical things that are very interesting to you.
Let's just say I understand why the position was open.
You've got to be kidding me.
I don't know if you guys are. I've got this. One of the things I wrote about with this match in my preview was that this match is all about intra-team squabbling, and because there are no stakes. You might have already covered this. I apologize if you already did, but there are no stakes to these matches. Nothing happens to SmackDown. Nothing happens to Raw.
Yes.
There's really no reason why anyone should care who wins, including the participants and the fans. So, with that in mind, all of these things are about who gets along with who doesn't. Now, who survives these matches will bolster their case toward getting title shots at their respective champions, yes. But really, these things are about angles to carry on the regular shows. We just saw a big one. Kevin Owens has taken a hike and taken an early shower. So,
Did he
there
actually
already.
get counted out of the match?
Yep, he got counted out.
Okay. He got counted out
They
of
did
the
the
match.
dramatic count out while the rest of the team had, come on, man, come on back. And
that whole thing is so much more effective when your team is maybe down a member, or you got it's 2-1 or 3-2, and you're like, oh, he walks out, and now it's 3-1. Like, it's more effective in that way. Who gives a crap?
I would have
the beginning of the match.
I would have loved if they intentionally didn't tag him for about 4 or 5 sequences. 2 people got eliminated or something like that. And then they finally tag him in and he just walks out. That would have been so much stronger.
It's just kind of unfathomable that it is somebody's job to help put this thing together. And they're like, it's a great idea. Let's have, one of the 2 or 3 best wrestlers in the entire match. Let's just have him walk out because we'll have him do an interview on Monday to tell us why.
I think we're seeing the beginning of the Kevin Owens farewell tour.
Yeah. I think so too. I think
that's what Larry just said. Look, Kevin Owens is walking out of the match and into AEW.
Very well put.
And
I really think he's just probably going to put over somebody on the way out. Could be Balor. It could be Big E. They might send him after Big E to do one more match where he gets just completely buried. Just a clean win for Big. Not completely buried. I don't mean squashed, but they'll probably have a good match. Big E will win with a big ending, and they move on from there. Bye Kevin Owens. I could see that happening.
If he doesn't want to sign that contract that they put in front of him to renew and they hold off, they're going to give him the Dean Ambrose treatment and continually humiliate him on the way out with shorter and shorter matches. When he didn't wrestle tonight, to me, that said the company did not want to show him wrestle to this audience.
Very will be.
I don't know. Use him to get somebody else over.
You're paying him to do the job, pay him and let him do the work. I was very much looking forward to seeing what he had to offer in this match, and it's frustrating to me that they went that route so quickly.
But if that is the idea, you need to take him off TV completely, because the more he's on TV in WWE, the more people are expecting him to go to AEW. So you're building the surprise for AEW even higher by having him do this stuff.
Oh,
the fans know the play.
100%.
They know the playbook. They know what's going on here. So it's kind of dumb to me if that is the plan.
I think it would be a smarter move, and I don't disagree with you. I think they might embarrass him on the way out, because sometimes Vince can't help himself, and he gets in his own way all the time. But I do agree that the smarter move, the smarter play on it would be to have him have real good matches on the way out, put him in a prominent position, have him put somebody over clean on the way out, just do business the way the wrestling tradition claims it should be done. And that way the fans aren't chanting AEW every time he is forced to do something stupid, which is what would happen. And you're going to get that if they start mistreating people that the fans like. And it'll happen where if he just does a quick 2-minute job for somebody as he's walking out, they're going to start doing AEW chants at him. I tell you, that's just how it's going to be. If they keep him in a prominent spot and let him go 10 or 15 minutes and have something good go on, I think that might temper that a little bit.
It's funny that you just said that, what you said, because I'm watching 1997 Raw, and the episode that I'm on is Brett Screwed Brett, where Vince is talking about the time-honored tradition of putting somebody over on the way out. So that's exactly what it reminded me of, because I just watched it.
Now that whole situation, obviously, with being in the Survivor Series, it's on a lot of people's minds right now, let alone going back and rewatching it right away. So yeah, I just think it'd be smart. They don't have to. It doesn't have to be ugly. I promise, it doesn't have to.
So we're gonna bring on a fourth here, someone who got to hang out with in San Jose last weekend. Was it last weekend?
It was.
No,
oh
it was
my
2 weeks
gosh.
ago. No, it was
2 weeks
last
ago?
weekend.
Last weekend. Oh my God. What's up, John? How's it going?
I'm doing well. Hey, just real quick, I got both my boys with me. There's Owen and Aiden. They're fresh off the baseball field. We had 2 travel ball tournaments this weekend, so everyone's just kind of tired and chilling, and they were thrilled that they get to watch the show. Yeah. And Garrett, sorry about the kerfuffle earlier. We're going to watch at someone else's house, and their team advanced in the tournament, so I didn't want to mess with everything. So apologize for kind of messing up your schedule, man.
Wait, but is that a Jimmy G jersey?
No, this is Joe.
No, but your son. I thought your son had a Jimmy G.
I've got the girl one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aiden's got the Jimmy G. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we
Yes.
go. Yeah, I got my Jerry. You can see number 80. Jeremy, who says he's a giant 49ers fan, is wearing a Roman Reigns shirt, by the way. All right, so this match, when I was watching the build, and so I did this thing today, and I was like, do I need to watch SmackDown? Because I'm not doing the show that I usually do on Tuesday, where we cover Raw and SmackDown and all that stuff. I'm not doing it because I'm traveling, and so I thought, maybe I don't have to watch it. But then, I was like, we're going to do this watch along. I should know what happened on SmackDown. I'm going to zoom through it. Needless. No reason to watch that show at all in the build up to this pay-per-view. Actually, it almost made me less interested because of the stuff that they did. Part of that was getting Sheamus onto this team. And I love Sheamus. Sheamus is great. And the other part was Jeff Hardy with Corbin and Madcap and this nonsense now. So my question is to this room here, and we'll start with John and we'll move the way around. We'll go John, Steve, and then Jeremy. Does the Baron Corbin Madcap team, is that is that something that's a little bit different from the norm of what they do? It's just jokester guys. Is that interesting enough for you to kind of be like, I can deal with them? Because historically on WWE TV, Baron Corbin has been trying to find a personality and ultimately changing it, every year. Is this version of him with his new partner, is that intriguing to you on this television show? Steven, you can go first.
Okay. No, I don't find it interesting. I think it's a terrible gimmick. I find it irritating. I don't think anything is natural about it. And that's a thing with WWE, is that they're not anyone you can identify with as a babyface or a heel. Nobody thinks that that's anything like what these guys are actually like. The dad jokes where they cackle hysterically, the silly outfits, none of it seems like a real person. And once he gets in the ring, he's a lot better actually than he used to be. He can have a decent match now, and that's something that isn't said often enough about Corbin. And Moss isn't bad; he's certainly athletic. But the gimmicks, you can't take them seriously. I mean, this is exactly what they're going to be. They're going to be this comedy act in the middle of the show that doesn't really count for anything, because no one could really take them seriously in a feud. You can't imagine guys like that in a fight You can't imagine guys like that being truly mad at anybody or really competing for a championship in a way that matters. So they've already reached the ceiling with these two characters.
All right,
this is what they're going to be.
Let's add John back in here.
Yeah, sorry, my internet was perfect when I was watching you guys, and I was feeling bad with the previous guest, and I was like,
to be fair to your internet, I'm streaming the show on Peacock, and I'm actually wired in, but then I got the stream going with the internet here. I'm sure my wife is watching Hulu in some other room, so we're taxing the Wi-Fi here. John, do you have any interest in Corbin and Moss in their characters?
I don't. And, it's funny. With all of WWE, you could say that outside of one or two folks. It's just, it's rinse and repeat. It's kind of, I guess, it's almost like paint by numbers. You could plug anyone in there into that spot, and they've got this gimmick or that. There's no investment. And it's just even funny with my kids next to me. Like, my kids don't watch wrestling a ton, but all the AEW pay-per-views, they'll go watch, and they know the characters. They know folks that get excited. Here, there's nothing to care about. And I know it sounds harsh, but that's what it is.
Hardy makes the hot tag here to Xavier Woods. The one thing, and Jeremy, I'll get your thoughts on Moss in a second, but the idea that Xavier Woods is kind of, I wouldn't call him a main event guy because I don't think they see him in that way. But at the same time, he is part of a giant act in New Day. And I think for at least a little while, this always helps, right? Or this always works where you see the guy in the tag team and you haven't seen him wrestle singles. And so you're kind of interested in how he does as a single. And I think they're doing a good job with Xavier. But when I was watching SmackDown, the whole time I'm thinking the only way that this works with Xavier is if he can get one on Roman. And I know he's not going to get one on Roman in any way or fashion. And so I was like, so this is pretty much going to be the extent. This is going to be the peak of Xavier Woods here, because they're not going to let him get one over on Roman. And it would be nice. I don't know if he'd be the guy that I'd pick to get one over on Roman, but it'd be kind of cool to see them actually go 100% with him rather than the 65-70% that they're doing with him, which is give him the king and then just have him get his ass kicked every other time. Okay, Jeremy.
Is he their number 2 babyface real quick?
Drew McIntyre.
Really?
No, Drew McIntyre number 1. Is he their number 2?
You're talking about on the SmackDown side?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Good question. Finn? I mean, is Finn?
He's on Raw.
Finn's on Raw. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Randy's on Raw.
Yeah, he probably is. He probably is.
Yeah. All right, Madcap Moss.
Yes,
I'm gonna catch you all off guard here.
You like it?
I love it. I love I love the joke. Everything about it. Like there are. The best analogy I can put is a stopped clock is right twice a day. Those jokes for one gimmick, once in a while, it hits me right. I heard about it. I came across him. I watched him like, the hell is this? And I saw the segment. I'm like, okay, that's dumb. And I think it was by the second or third week that I caught the segment, and I died laughing. And I hope they can keep it up. I hope that they keep this just kind of level of tempo and joke, because right now it's hitting me in the sweet spot, but it can veer off course very quickly. And their humor is very, very not nuanced if it were. So I'm a fan. I want to see it. I don't want them to win titles. I don't want them to have 20-minute matches. I want them to do their act, have a match, move on to the next person, move on to the next feud.
Jeremy, we were buddies in New Japan. We sat next to each other, and now you kind of hurt my heart with that opinion. I'm kidding, my friend.
There were a number of opinions that I was like, I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to share it.
The reason I asked is because I found myself, as I'm zipping through these SmackDowns,
I'm just teasing you, my friend.
As I'm zipping through them, that's the segment that I find very fast forwardable. Like I'm like, oh, they're talking 30-second, 60-second skip. And I literally don't care what they have to say, because I know it's not really going anywhere. I will say, if Happy Corbin had somebody else, or maybe there's a third person who I find interesting, I think I would pay attention to them a little bit more, because I did like a lot of the Happy Corbin character, the sad Corbin character too. But I'm kind of intrigued by Corbin, and it's almost in this weird way, because it's almost like, how long can a guy just be mid card and stick around? And like, he's not on any of these cut lists. Like, it seems like he must be very popular guy backstage or with management. They must really like him, because I imagine he's making decent money and he's never going to be in the main event scene. So he's kind of leveled out, and he's still employed. So good for him.
I think when I've been watching the show in the last couple weeks, they've been doing a lot of ping-ponging backstage. They'll do a quick 30 seconds here and a quick 30 seconds here. And to me, all of that is completely forgettable, completely disposable stuff. I found that your reaction of it being completely missable with Corbin and Moss, they stand out to me because they're actually something that is completely different from the cookie cutter 30-second ping pong they do with everybody else. I don't need Sami Zayn going for 4 different people, or Jeff Hardy standing in the back of a room commenting on how awkward everything that he was watching was doing, because that's not passive. That does not entertain anybody. But if you're going to at least like make an intellectual effort at making somebody laugh, you're getting somewhere with your TV time.
Okay, I want to check where everybody is on their stream. What did you just see?
I just saw Drew McIntyre knock Seth Rollins into next week. Didn't get him pinned, but I did see the double count out and a pretty strong build up to the idea of Lashley versus McIntyre, followed by some pretty decent wrestling between the two. The double count out, and then they almost tease like there's going to be a feud, but they're on different shows. So that was intriguing, but it was good stuff. I was enjoying watching
it. I think Drew missed the kick by about 1.5 feet, though.
You mean the 2-footed super kick that I hate?
That's not necessarily his fault, though.
Yeah,
I still hate it.
I would have picked a different camera angle on that one. So what are we down to? Are we 3-on-3?
3-on-3 or 3-on-4? Oh no,
Okay.
3-on-2. I'm sorry.
How did Drew get eliminated?
Double count out.
So him and Lashley both got counted out?
Right.
Got it.
And then, oh, great. Okay, sure. A strong showing by both teams.
Yeah, Seth was tapping him on the shoulder and waving goodbye at him, and then ate a headbutt.
Yeah, and then he got
so
the
the
headbutt.
survivors so far left on either team. On the SmackDown side,
it's Hardy and Sheamus.
Okay.
And on the other side, it's Seth, Finn, and is that
Theory.
it? Is it only and Theory? Okay, so it is 3-2.
So there's third, Theory. Yeah.
Boom.
And something tells me is Austin Theory going to sneak the win here, with everyone kind of like they're getting rid of the big guys.
Austin Theory is going to get
and to push Austin. Does he get a little sneaky at the end to get his hand raised, maybe? And I hope I'm wrong, by the way.
When Theory was up before he went back to NXT, who was he partnered with?
He was with Rollins.
That's what I thought.
There goes Finn.
They're together right now. They're the last 2 guys.
There's the Austin just kick Sheamus.
I'm a few seconds behind everybody else.
Okay.
It's very funny. It was tough. I was saying the joke on the chat earlier that I think Garrett has secret F4W commentator stuff where he gets a true live feed. The rest of us are 30 seconds behind.
The only thing I did was I just threw the pre-show on in the background, like
I'm teasing you.
right in the beginning, so that I would get the screw ups out of the way, and it was fine the whole time. So I just let it run.
So
just Austin
versus
Theory
Seth
left?
and Austin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's again my prediction. I hate this: is Sheamus will pin Seth, celebrate. Austin Theory sneaks in, gets the pin, and it's just It's kind of standard WWE booking, as much as I don't like it.
Seth is the only star left in this match, and I don't see him getting eliminated.
I would like to see both Seth and Theory win this match together. I would like to see Sheamus go out here and then Jeff Hardy.
Hardy's there too. I'm sorry, it's 2-on-2.
Yeah. Jeff Hardy just plays ultimate baby face, trying to win the match for his team, and then 2 against 1, he just loses. That's what I would like to see, but I don't know.
I could definitely see Hardy nipping Theory just after Theory has embarrassed him on Raw, like 4 or 5 times. I could see him like getting the win on Theory and then losing valiantly at the end somehow.
Yeah, that could happen too.
It's kind of funny.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think we were commenting it on the Facebook board earlier this week or last week, but God, it makes me harken back to those Survivor Series teams in the early 2000s. And Garrett, I think we were talking about, it was the one where it was Austin had one team, Bishop had the other team, and Shawn Michaels at the end. And like, again, we don't know what it was, Austin's GM job or something. But God, I was so into that. And I wish there was that sort of passion or caring about, and it's just not around anymore, unfortunately.
They could do something with that. I've been thinking about this. Like, I don't want any more authority figures. That's exhausted. We're going to get it again with Pierce and DeVille, but it's just an exhausted thing. But there are a way to make these big pay-per-views station to station. One of the things I thought about was without it making it a thing with who's the general manager or who's going to screw other people over for months at a time, but do something basic like the winning team's show. The winning team show doesn't have the single-digit numbers in the Royal Rumble when they draw the numbers. Like if SmackDown wins this match, then the SmackDown superstars only pick from 10 to 30, and they don't have to worry about 1 through 9 or 1 through 10 or whatever.
The problem is
just the thing where it would be an incentive.
The problem is you and I would remember, and then they would forget.
No, I know. Yeah, again, in a perfect world, I just think there's a way to do this without it being that would make sense. That it would give them why are these people even in this match, and why do these characters care that they're in the match? Why did Sami Zayn give a crap that he was going to be in this thing or not? They never really gave us a reason or him a reason to be in this
article. I don't know if someone on the site wrote it, but it was, hey, the winning team gets 26 through 30, losing team gets 1 through 5. And Garrett, again, to your point, we would remember it. Mm-hmm. Certain executives at that company would not remember it come January.
They would either forget or Vince would go, you know what? That just doesn't work for what we're trying to do, so we're just going to break the rule that we just set.
A little more nuanced.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. A little more nuanced is perhaps the winners of the winning team get to pick what brand they go to next year at the draft.
Yeah, there's a way. I just remember it goes to the long-term planning that's just not there like it used to be. When I was doing the piece for the site on just the overall history of the Survivor Series, the one thing that struck me is how often the Survivor Series had to do with WrestleMania. And because Vince knew what the finish of WrestleMania was for next year when he booked this year's. And sometimes, he has his ideas. Like he knows, he wants Brock and he wants Rock. And, but in general, he sometimes has big matches on the mind. But WrestleMania was booked long before Survivor Series back in those days. And for the first many, many years of Survivor Series, you could see that the results of the Survivor Series meant something to Mania over and over again. And it wasn't until I would say the 2000s when they started maybe not 2000, late 90s when it started going week to week, when they were worried about WCW, that all that went out the window. And you can just see the difference in the way the company is booked now. They used to know. So my point with the SmackDown and Raw, if it was a perfect world and they were doing that again, then they wouldn't forget because it would be part of the story they already had written. But those days seem to be over.
Larry has a great point, though, and he says, knowing when anybody comes into a Rumble takes away the fun of the Rumble, and I think he means the draw of the randomness of the draw.
It's a fantastic point. The counter to it, not to disagree with it. Remember this is where I'm big nerd. Remember the 91 or 92 Rumble after Hogan and Undertaker had the Tuesday in Texas thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule was they both had to be 18 and above. So maybe there's a way to do it where, yes, you don't say what number someone's getting, but hey, the winning team gets to be. And again, I think it was back to the point earlier. they're 15 and above or 20 and above or something, where that doesn't mean they'll be 30 and we spoil it, but it could be just something nice.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I hear both of you on that.
Again,
That, if you follow real sports, this happens all the time. Like, you could even talk about going super nerdy. The qualifying offers in baseball, right? Like, if Brandon Belt for the Giants just signed his qualifying offer, if he turned down his qualifying offer and then let's say he signed with the Yankees, the Giants would get a pick in the second or third round or something like that. And, the diehard fans understand that, and the casual fans don't really care. Same thing with the wrestling. Like, if you
compensation picks, right?
Oh, by the way, Austin Theory, by winning this match, he is number 30 in the Royal Rumble. The hardcore fans are excited for Austin Theory or frustrated if he's a heel. And the casual fans don't remember, so they don't care. And I just think you're actually rewarding your hardcore fans when you do stuff like that makes sense for them. So Jeff Hardy, I don't know if you guys are behind me, how far you guys are behind me, but Jeff Hardy did pin Austin Theory, so it's Jeff and Seth to close out this match one-on-one.
There you go.
I am glad
Just like we were saying.
Very glad I was
To
wrong.
me, Seth Hardy is in the middle of a world title feud. He's not losing this match.
I don't think so either. Jeff Hardy is perfect for this role of the sympathetic babyface, the underdog babyface, and Seth will get heat just for beating him.
And Big E needs a challenger. I mean, Big E needs somebody.
Yes.
Match has been pretty good.
No, I was about to say, I don't know if I'm just glancing over in the right spots, but the match looks like it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've
plus
been
they had
count
so many good people in the match.
And I wasn't on when you guys were talking about the women's match, but Becky and Charlotte were fantastic.
Yeah, they looked awesome.
Yeah, they looked like a fight. It looked like people that were pissed off at each other, and it looked like they were in a fight. And you just don't see that terribly often in WWE, and it was refreshing.
Great near fall there.
Whoa,
Everyone knew Seth was kicking out, but it was still a great near fall.
Okada does those over in New Japan where it's not the thing. There's no way in the world, and there's that little moment where you're just like, oh, geez, oh, no.
When you take into account who they counted out, the three people, Drew, Bobby, and Owens, you're fine with that, knowing that there was actually a definitive winner between the teams. It didn't feel like the strongest team that either side could feel, but it did feel like a traditional Survivor Series match between the two.
I'm fine with Drew and Bobby getting counted out because that was like, again, sort of to Steven's point, it felt like two hosses going at each other. The Kevin Owens thing is inexcusable. It just is. It's just they can't get out of their own way when stuff like that happens.
They wanted to protect him in the title feud as well, and they couldn't do it any later because they already planned for another count out, so they had to do it right out of the way because they didn't have any other option.
This is not any great analytics or anything, but for WWE shows, if we check our Facebook thread, we're very light in the comments. So this may simply be a show that people were just like, you know what? I'm skipping it. Like I got other stuff to do today.
I thought this one feels like a detour on the way to other important things. I mean, it'll probably be it's good action. And there you go. Seth just got out of the twist of, or not the twist of fate, but the swanton and hit the curb stomp, which you're not allowed to call a curb stomp anymore. And pinned him.
The stomp.
Sorry, Vince. I'll get fined on Monday. But man, I mean, think if I could call it a belt later, I might be broke by the end of this podcast. But yeah,
open up that checkbook.
I was pretty adamant early on that without The Rock being present and advertised for this show, it was always going to be weak.
But isn't that always the case with this show?
Well, if they had not talked about it being the 25th anniversary with a presumption that they thought that they could get him for it in some way.
That was
form.
us, though. That wasn't them. That was us talking about that.
I thought that was in the Observer.
Yeah, that is us. That is not anything WWE said was going to happen, and then they pulled the carpet from under us.
They didn't talk about it, but when they talk about the 25th anniversary and show clips, they kind of lead you there a bit. So you're right. They 100% didn't overtly say, hey, The Rock will be here. But they kind of sprinkled a bit of, hey, look what we're bragging about, to get maybe people thought about it.
Andrew Zarian, he reported that the plan was the 25th anniversary of The Rock and that he was somewhat going to be involved. It was in the Observer that the plan was he was going to be involved, but there was no promotion that said, please buy your ticket for Barclays because you will get to see The Rock. So like I said, that's us building that thing up bigger than it like WWE ever did. That was us.
At the same time, though, you had the Summer of Cena, you had all of these big stars, and people didn't pump on the gas to get these tickets until they saw that it was actually happening. And maybe they didn't get all the interest because they were waiting for The Rock because they thought, oh, 25th, The Rock, and it just never happened. And that level of interest never.
I would guess 25% of the people who bought tickets did so because they thought The Rock was going to be there. That information is on Fightful. It's in the Observer. It's on shows like this. That information is not readily available on their TV, which is how those folks get the information. So yeah, there's a percentage, 15, 20%, maybe 25% at a max, who were like, I'm going to buy this ticket because I expect The Rock to be there. But I don't think that was WWE's fault in any way. It was just, if it was up to them, he would be here. But he's doing Instagram videos, drinking Zoa, and doing slow curls with 60-pound dumbbells. Like, that's just what he's doing right now.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question, Garrett. I think you actually kind of answered it. Where people talk about, oh, well, the hardcore audience is only a very small segment. Mm-hmm. But when you're down to 1.5, 1.6 million for Raw, that the percentage of hardcore becomes bigger just naturally.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you said 25% there. Is that what you guys feel? Because I'm thinking, I'm not just talking about Observer subscribers, but folks that are kind of, let's say, on the internet researching would think, oh, hey, The Rock may come. Do you think is 25% kind of what you feel is what it might be? Or
I think that's probably high. Like, what I would consider to be a hardcore WWE fan is someone who watches all the TV shows and someone who reads the internet, like you said, right? That doesn't mean that they have a subscription to the Observer or that they pay for Fightful or that they're watching Mcmahon. Like, I think that is a level of hardcore fandom that is even further. Like, that's an even smaller percentage. But I would consider someone, someone who watches every single TV show WWE does and who's reading the internet and all the news items for the wrestling stuff. I could see that being, 25% of the fan base.
And the reason I bring it up, and I want to talk about the Vince thing next, is the red notice. That's what Vince is doing. But the reason I bring it up is when you say, hey, what percentage of people think, oh, The Rock might be there? I mean, it's a good chunk of folks when you think about it. Again, not Observer subscribers, but who have figured stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough. It's enough to derail a lot of expectation of folks like us who are watching this, because I guarantee you, if he was promised to be on this show, our thread would have 2 or 3 times as much comments as it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do like that they went straight to this video while we're talking about it.
We are pretty Nostradamus on that one.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to bring, like, you just saw Vince's limo pull up, and he's got the egg from the red notice thing. And again, all the superstars, and I'll do it in air quotes, they're clapping and applauding just like a bunch of.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Lackeys is what my kid said.
Here's a question. Let's relate it to real sports. Okay. If Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, walks out in the same way in front of the team and in front of office employees, they probably react similarly. I would think, maybe not hooting and hollering as much, but I feel like it would be a similar reaction.
Not before a playoff game. Which no, and Garrett, first of all, I apologize. That was a bit snarky. But like, if you view Survivor Series, like one of their big deals, a playoff game, the players aren't sitting there, hooray, it's Vince, hooray, hooray. They're more, or hey, it's Jerry, hooray, hooray. They're focused in. But I hear what you're saying.
So
now we got Roman and Vince. At least on
we can't hear what they're saying, but this is about this egg that Vince came out with. So Roman looks like he's like, what is this old man talking about? That's
this is the Red Notice egg, right? This is the tie-in to the Rock's movie.
Yeah.
Because they stole the egg in Red Notice, right, Aiden?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Has anyone seen that movie, by the way?
You want to give you a review?
Was it good?
Is that okay? Or Garrett, can Aiden give his review?
Yeah, go for it.
I've seen the first half of it. It's enjoyable. I think the tie-in here is a bit much. Like, I don't see a way where they can make just a clean tie-in between WWE and Red Notice. I just don't think it would work.
Did you like the movie though so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So here's something that's interesting is, I haven't seen the movie. I want to see it. I heard it's like, plot-wise, it's really nonsensical, but there's so much charisma from all the lead actors that it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
But here's the question. So do you think Vince was like, okay, this is The Rock's 25th anniversary of his debut. He's not here. What could we do as a stand-in for The Rock? Like, what could we do to show that, like, okay, this is going to represent him? Because there's no way Vince watched that movie, right? So someone had to have told him, well, The Rock just had a movie on Netflix, and here's what the plot is. There's an egg, and in 1990, we also had an egg. So let's like, is that the idea? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the, what was the thought process put for Vince to show up on this show of all shows and to have an egg as the reason why he's here.
Well, I'll say this. I went on mute because I was about to have a coughing fit because I still have my cold. I muted myself, and then since I was muted and you guys were going on a bit of a roll, I actually listened to a little bit of the audio here of that skit.
Okay.
And what I heard was Vince talking about that egg like it was the most important thing he had ever encountered, and that it had all these incredible jewels, and it was gorgeous, and it was beautiful, and it was worth almost $100 million. While Roman looked at him just like, so this is what dementia looks like in person. Okay, here we are. And then at the end, Roman, he says the $100 million line, and this is the only reason that any of that was interesting. He said $100 million line. Roman goes, almost as much as my next contract, stands up and walks out. And then Vince very intentionally does a oh crap type of look on his face, which I think may have planted a seed for something. Maybe Vince is we'll see what happens later on. He's here for a reason. I don't think it was just that egg skit, but who knows?
Interesting.
The beginning of it was, your cousin The Rock gave me this egg from his movie. It's the real thing. It's worth millions, and the chant and millions from the audience. And then we led into the rest of it. It was all just The Rock.
Yeah, it was funny to see him. Vince's face wasn't a comedy face; it was like a serious, like angry face when he said almost as much as my next contract and walked out. So, well, I wonder if there was a seed planted there. Who knows?
So
with the pies behind AJ, we're gonna have a battle royal food fight.
Just so Thanksgiving, you got to have a food fight. That's the WWE law. There's got to be a food fight at Thanksgiving.
I know.
Is it KFC?
It looked like apple, like pies of it. It looked like pie boxes.
Oh,
Larry's review of the movie, by the way, is that it's a good airplane watch. That's kind of good.
I compiled a list earlier of all the people that could have been on the team for the men's and the tag team. Let's see if I missed anybody on here. R-Truth, Reggie, Apollo, T-Bar, Veer, Aziz, Akira, Drew Gulak, Mace, Mustafa Ali, and Mansoor. Do we see all those guys there?
I don't think all of them are in there.
What I see is a ring full of people who are probably really relieved when that last group of cuts came out and they weren't on it.
The guys that don't answer
I don't
the
think
phone titles.
I don't think there's Commander Aziz in there, but I think everybody else is. Oh no! There he is.
No, is that Aziz right there in the?
Yeah, he might
red.
Red in this match too.
They have every single man left on the roster. There's not. The only one that is not in a match tonight that is actually on the roster is Edge.
Of the men, you're saying?
Of the men, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is how thin the roster depth is right now.
Is it Pizza Hut tie-in? Is that what we're doing here?
I can't tell what that box is.
Yeah.
No, it's Pizza Hut. Yeah, it is Pizza Hut.
Yeah, it's Pizza Hut, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
We got ourselves a sponsor, people. Oh, boy, they're really laying it on thick now. We've got like a display of the delicious-looking pizzas and cinnamon rolls from Pizza Hut, everybody.
The triple threat box. Amazing. I guess that is...
yeah.
If you are hosting...
Triple treat box or triple threat?
If you're hosting... triple treat box. If you're hosting, like, you buy a few of those, it's kind of a cool idea.
And look at us like a sucker. We were going to cook turkey and stuff. Pizza. This is awesome.
Byron hasn't had a carb in 10 years. He's not fooling anybody.
That guy was so sad.
My son Googled what's in the triple treat box.
All right, so 25 men battle royal because of the 25th anniversary. I thought AJ was going to go steal some pizza. No, he's doing the Bobby Heenan thing where he's out of the ring being the smart one.
Yep.
But again,
same with Dolph, I think. Yeah.
What does he get if he wins this match?
The egg.
Glory going into his family's Thanksgiving dinner of knowing he was the sole survivor in the prestigious Thanksgiving Battle Royal.
Oh, Omos is already tossing.
Garrett, sorry.
Well, because if you were to ask Brian Alvarez, he would say the true winner is the one who gets tossed over the rope first and doesn't have to wrestle in this match for 20 minutes.
And you still get the pay-per-view check.
You get the same payday, right?
Still get the check.
I hope the winner gets the red notice egg.
No, that's $100 million. These are all jobbers.
Even the AWA didn't have $100 million battle royal.
That'd be the real winner, though.
Our truth eating the pizza. I love it.
Yeah, that's the right guy to give the pizza to.
But
Otis is going to have pizza.
It's funny. If the whole theme is brand versus brand, when I looked up, the first thing I saw was Omos in his red shirt throwing out other Raw members in their red shirt.
Yeah.
And I know Balor is every person from the cells, but clearly it was no camaraderie, as my son said.
All right, you guys are going to hold the fort down here for me. I will be back. I'm just going to get some water. So I'm going to shut my thing off here for a second.
Is anybody going to eat this pizza?
They're eating it.
You're in charge.
Otis just ate an entire slice.
There it is.
Oh, Otis is digging it. Yeah.
Otis is like,
That's how you eat a slice of pizza, Otis. You should still have a beard and long hair, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Don't get rid of our truth. He's awesome. Otis looks terrible before.
John, who do you got winning this?
I would guess probably Omos, or else Omos clears everyone out and AJ sneaks in. Although I see Cesaro in there too, so maybe one of those three is my take.
Steven, what about you?
I mean, Omos is the one that makes the most sense. I don't know if is Veers the really tall one? Maybe they'll have the big.
Yeah,
maybe I could also see he and Omos locking up, going into the ropes, and having the whole world toss both of them over, and then it's just whoever. But I could see that happening, and that could open the door. That could open the door for AJ.
You got almost as the big man, and then you got Veer, and you got Aziz as the semi-big men.
Right.
I kind of am looking at AJ doing the whole waiting outside to capitalize to win, but I think Ricochet kind of has a shot to win this thing.
I wouldn't mind. They haven't figured out a thing to do with the guy in a long time. So.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, gents, let me ask a question. It's just something it's been on my brain for ages. And again, just for everyone watching the stream, I'm a corporate guy. I've been in the tech industry in the Bay Area for years, and it's all about RSUs and stock options and stuff. When are they going, the independent contractors with air quotes, when are they going to get sick of the fact that they sign a 2, 3, 4, 5-year contract? They're theoretically locked in, and Vince cuts them whenever they want. Because I had the thought, like, if I'm Tony Khan, Roman's Reigns next contract is up, I will sign Roman Reigns to a 5-year, $100 million contract. Get him on TV, have him lose 3 times if I wanted to, and cut him 3 weeks in, and not have to pay him much. Because those are kind of the new rules. Will they ever stand up to that, or is that a pipe dream of mine?
I think they would need to have a plaintiff who was willing to, first of all, just eliminate any chance of ever working for WWE again from there. And there are people that'll take that shot. That's possible. The other thing is someone who needs to be willing to fight that for years, because WWE can run the clock out in court. This is a company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year in profit. They can run out the clock on court on anybody. So it would have to be someone who just decides to take it up as a cause, knowing that they will never actually benefit from it. They're never going to get a contract that has, if they win, they'll probably never get a contract that has those rules. And by the time they happen, it'll be in their mid 40s, maybe later before. And so it's going to have to be a personal crusade from someone who doesn't have to personally benefit from it. That's the guy you got to find to take it all the way through. And then you have to find someone
with the
that has deep enough pockets to hang with them through every single appeal and every single motion and every single filing, because WWE knows that they can, unless they're taking somebody that has more money than them, and no worker does, that they can just simply outlast people. So it's going to have to be a personal quest and funded by somebody. And it comes down to a pretty short list of human beings that can do it.
Especially from a corporate perspective, the legal fees, if there was a single case, it's not going to hit OPEX, so it wouldn't hit their yearly and quarterly profits. It's going to be one-time expense, which means Wall Street wouldn't be upset. Like, let's say they spent $100 million in court. If it's hitting OPEX, stock price is going down. If it's not hitting OPEX, and I apologize, I'm geeking out here, it's not going to affect the stock price, so they can do it. It's frustrating to watch. Again, corporate guy, I know how this stuff works. It's frustrating to watch.
I look at it in a little bit of a different perspective. I don't believe that Tony Khan does business the way that Vince McMahon does. So if he were legitimately bringing Roman Reigns in as a talent, he would, yes, have to pay significantly out of pocket. I think a no-cut contract would probably exist because, quite frankly, the pedigree that Anoa'i or Roman Reigns has within the company with his cousin and his father and his uncles and whatnot, he's not a fool, and he knows how to get an ironclad contract. And if you get Roman Reigns in a company, you use Roman Reigns to the best of your ability. There's no stop about it. You don't pay him to ice
with the
him.
Roman Reigns comment.
Yeah. I want to make sure there's no ambiguity to that. Like, I'm just thinking all this thing
fire him
through.
3 days in. Everything's silly.
Yeah, he is quite possibly the single most valuable wrestler in the world today in terms of the value that he can bring to the rest of a company.
There goes Sami Zayn. So we've got it. We're starting to boil things down here, and so far it looks like
almost is winning, right? Like that's
well, we were just talking about that. we think it might be the Bobby Heenan thing there.
Jeremy had us totally on track as the winners, and I went off with a contract question. So my bad.
Been talking business.
We had Omos as a guest. We had AJ Styles, and we had Ricochet.
Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of think that the Bobby Heenan thing is going to be the trick, that someone will manage to maneuver Omos out and AJ wins, but we'll see how it goes. Just down to a few now.
Again, while we were on mute, my younger son Owen said, so why is it each man for themselves if they're wearing red shirt and blue shirts?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a pretty valid question.
Doesn't it just classify one as small?
Ah, there goes AJ.
Oh, geez. Oh, there he went. All right.
Is he almost going to toss him? Oh, I'm a few seconds behind you guys.
Oh no.
Now, but he looks like he's about to kill somebody.
Yes. And a lot of people are going to pay here.
Yep.
His good buddy
No.
is out of the match, and people are going to pay.
They've been using Omos, by the way, fairly. I mean, he's not good.
Yeah.
He's very, very green. He's not good. I think that putting him with AJ is actually one of the decisions that they've made that's been really strong. They have him in with a guy who can work 12 minutes of a 14-minute match and just have him come in and throw people around once in a while. Now, when he throws people around, he's going to kill somebody doing it someday because he's just not good at it. But they've at least done a decent job of hiding him. Better than Strowman, who they just kept putting in long matches and he was exposed. A bit of an improvement there from
that's kind of what it takes to be a main event wrestler in WWE. Like you cannot be Omos and be in main event matches. We saw that with the Great Khali. He's better than the Great Khali. But remember when they put Great Khali with like Batista and Undertaker, he can do so little that when it comes down to actual matches, you just can't do it. So stuff like this is great. Being in the tag team, I think, is perfect for him. But I don't know, as a main event talent, which is what Braun Strowman was, I'm not sure you can do that with him.
No, I'm not saying he's going to be another Braun Strowman. I'm not sure he's main event talent, but he can be an attraction as a tag team guy that just comes in and does a few things. Until they get house shows back where the guy can really get reps, he's not really going to improve that much. But so at least they're not putting him on television for 12 minutes at a time and making us watch that.
Oh, that they're going.
Oh, is this going to happen? No, it's not. This isn't going to happen.
Oh, almost ricochet.
I got my guy in the final two.
Oh no,
I'm a little bit behind you guys. I think I've just started with almost.
Oh my, yeah. Well, there you go.
The big drop kick.
Oh, we got chalk in this one. We got the heavy favorite.
Yep, that made sense. So it's funny. We got this comment. Gino, thanks for jumping in, Gino. Gino said Charlotte Flair's gone, going to AEW.
I think so too. Eventually, I think so too.
May well be, but I think we have a contract here that probably has a little bit of time on it. Though I haven't heard. I haven't heard what her contract is. So one thing I wanted to mention is, while we're between matches, I mentioned the podcast with Jim Valley, which is kind of for Thanksgiving. That is going up on Wednesday night, just about everywhere. Figure 4, our Patreon, and then, like I said, YouTube as well. The Fight Game Media Network, which is our new podcast feed, we have a free feed and we have the plus version, which is $5 on the Patreon. After this show's over, Keela Cash, her podcast, The Wrap, which is basically the week that is the week in WWE, will go up recapping what we're watching here, Survivor Series. So she'll have some thoughts on Survivor Series. I believe Scott Young is going to be on with her. And we're also debuting a AEW week in review podcast with James McDaniel and Kevin Ely. I was corrected on his name, how to pronounce his name, Kevin Ely. They're going to debut that show. So the WWE show will be up sometime tonight, just to make sure that we get the Survivor Series review up. But the AEW show will be up tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon. And then I want to mention also the Patreon, which you can see the link here on this video, patreon.com/fightgamemedia. We changed the price, so it's now $5 for everything. We have 3 specific Patreon-only shows. My show with John LaRocca, where we're covering 1997 Raw, will carry over next year to 98 Raw. We also have the Dynamite show, which is the AEW recap show right after Dynamite is done. So it's literally like we're even We even beat the end of the West Coast viewing of Dynamite. And then Scott Edwards, his Joshi show on Joshi Wrestling. And then we put up a recap of the Crawford and Porter fight from last night. So the pound for pound guys, they do a show on the free feed. They did a bonus show on the Patreon feed. So that's gonna that's, you know, we're just adding stuff to there. That's where the Jim Valley interview will be as well. So wanted to mention those. So let's get back to this, because here's our one so far. Matthew, he didn't like Flair and Lynch. Said it's sloppy. Said the bar is set too low for American women's wrestling. Run-of-the-mill stardom matches far better and harder hitting. Now, I can't say, maybe we need to bring Scott Edwards up here to talk about stardom and Joshi. I did not sense that it was sloppy. I sensed that they wanted it to feel like less of a choreographed match than maybe they would. And so in some instances, maybe in that sense, like it didn't look like they were necessarily cooperating 100%. But I'm actually surprised with that. I did not sense that this was a bad match in any way.
You could feel like it was gritty, and gritty can feel bad or unpolished. There's a very thin line between receiving the match the way that we did and the way that Matt did.
Is anybody? I mean, just from what we saw, my immediate takeaway was like, this was great, and this would have fit right in on Full Gear from last week. That was my immediate thought was, you know, so to me, it's a 4-star match plus. So I don't know. I guess I was surprised. I just assumed that people thought that was a good match.
I bet most people did. I'm willing to bet most people did.
In the Quinn household, it definitely got 3 thumbs up here in our unofficial poll.
And that is not to discount Matthew's opinion in any way. I was just surprised.
No. And Stardom's pretty good. So if you're judging everything by Stardom, it's a tough bar to jump over.
Yeah, 100%.
There is a recency bias, perhaps on my part, but I'm struggling to think of another match this year by the women in WWE that I liked more.
Sasha Bianca?
That's fair.
I like this one better.
Yeah.
Matthew was saying that the F4W board is mostly negative on that match.
Okay.
Interesting.
Garrett, when you said 4 stars, I was like, that's pretty much in the range of where I put it, not an expert or anything, but it was a good match. My kid said apart from the sloppy moves, but it was a good match. It was a pretty good match.
It's the best match on the show so far.
Yes. I wonder.
I'll agree with you on that one. Yeah.
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 Tag teams are up next here.
I'm gonna see if I can get Dave's opinion on it. Let's see if he's watching live.
Both my kids have said Dave Meltzer. They're very excited to see him. Mike, as I told you guys last week, my kids were still in shock that I went to Dave's house and all that stuff. So there was very big excitement in the Quinn house. Very funny. It was a good match, though.
Yeah, I thought so. So this one has some. Now, the Usos, I think they're one of my favorite tag teams, though they're never put in a spot to have what you would call like a classic match. They're never put in that spot to do that. Wrestling Randy Orton is still given, you know, that main event in almost every match that he's in. He's always given that, you know, that main event status. So I do wonder if they'll have the opportunity here to do something better than they generally would have if Randy Orton was not in this match.
Have they ever wrestled Randy Orton before?
I mean, they've been in this company for so long.
So I don't want to
maybe a random tag match here, but never at a level of like this.
Yeah, I can't think of one, but then again, like the last 15 years of WWE probably blends in with everything for me.
I'm really intrigued by this match and the style clash between all the performers, because you got a May-September thing going on with these two, and then you got the Usos that just have that high-flying style, and that is much different than the hard-hitting kind of approach that Riddle, RK Bro do. This one has me very, very curious.
Jeremy, I like the fact you gave May September, not the full May December. It's not that old yet, but that was cool.
Okay, so here's a question now. We are at, from a time perspective, if they are thinking 3 hours max, they have 3 matches left. So I'm assuming we're probably going to go over a little bit over that 3 hour mark, unless the women's match is just a bunch of quick falls and not very long match, which I think would be pretty disrespectful. So I'm actually wondering now, are we going to go over that 3 hour mark, which I was hoping we weren't, but I kind of feel like we are now because there's still 3 matches left.
When you think of entrances in the big match in the 5-on-5 women's, those entrances could take a while too.
Yeah, true.
I'm thinking 8:15, 8:20 right now.
All right, so I'm going to invite a couple more people in here to hang out with us for this last hour of this show.
As you're doing that, can I be a conspiracy theorist for a second?
Go for it.
Apparently, Sean Ross Sapp, I think, was saying earlier today, Roman and Big E were going to go first. The ladies were going to go last. They swapped it. They've still been going with all the Rock stuff. It would be very silly because they wouldn't have publicized it. But any chance they got the Rock to hop up on a plane very late and go in and again, total conspiracy theorist there.
That so I mean,
99% chance no, but
it'd be awesome.
I'm wrong.
Like I wish they would like advertise it so that people would know.
Yeah, I mean,
I would hope they would
advertise it.
But you know what may not be exactly that, but could be something is maybe they weren't sure if he was going to send in a video, right? A selfie video, and maybe it wasn't looking like it was going to happen, and then he did, and that changed the idea of it, and then all of a sudden we got Vince in the egg and all that stuff. So,
well, it's nice as being a fan where you can think of that stuff randomly, and nothing wrong with being wrong.
Yeah, totally. There's some intrigue there. So I agree. So I'm counting our comments here on this thread. We are up to, let's see. Nope, that was SmackDown. It's not the one I'm looking for. We are up to 161. I wonder what we were at Full Gear last weekend. I know that was a little bit down from the other one too.
Garrett, sorry for asking. The 161, is that on this stream or is that on the Figure 4 board?
No, it's in our Facebook group. 161 comments.
A Facebook group. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I wonder. I think we'd all thought that Randy Orton and Riddle were going to eventually become a program. Their tag team has actually lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. Do you still think? I mean, I imagine we're headed towards them breaking up at some point. Are we thinking like now? Are we thinking WrestleMania? Are we going to see Randy against Riddle?
Yeah, I mean that seems like it might happen by Mania. It feels like that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If it were me,
where they were going,
I'd run the program and do the breakup at Mania.
Also possible,
and then run that through December.
Do
the old Strike Force thing.
They have a tag title match at Mania. They do the turn at Mania. Maybe they're one-on-ones. They wouldn't hold till SummerSlam. After Mania. And I like the Strike Force callback.
That's how old I am, by God.
Tito hitting Rick with the forearm by mistake. WrestleMania 5. Love it.
Walked out on him. I was heartbroken watching on closed circuit at University of Notre Dame.
I may have cried too.
Wait, was that 5?
That was 5.
Yeah. 4, 5. I think it was
4. 4 he got hurt. 5 he got hurt just after 4. 5 he came back. It was against the Brainbusters.
Yep, there it was. Correct. Yep.
Rick was holding Tully Arn, and Tito came off with the flying forearm, and he ducked down and hit him. And then Rick was down for a bit, and then when Tito went for the tag, Rick walked out. Yes, I have a ridiculously silly memory with this stuff.
I would, if we were to do a breakup at Mania, I would actually have Riddle be the one that would turn heel on Orton because everyone would be expecting the other thing, and elevate or Riddle as a monster heel, just running through the roster.
Can he be a heel if we cannot take him seriously in any way, though?
I think if you were to do that kind of like, I'm really dumb outside of the ring, but I'll kill you in the ring, that could frustrate people enough that he would get over as that kind of personality that you want to boo.
See, I think if that happens, you got to completely change his entire character. He's got to be serious. He's got to be, more. I don't want to say Kurt Angle because Kurt Angle did have a lot of humor in his character, but you just got to be like more serious butt kicker if you want.
He needs to be absolutely ruthless.
The Kurt Angle comparison is actually brilliant. That angry, violent, and Jeremy, going back to your point, if he turned on Orton in a violent way and just chair shots and bloodied him up and the whole thing, and then went with that just killer, that true killer like the Kurt Angle stuff, that could work really well. I don't know if they'll do it. That would be awesome.
The Usos just finally turned the tide after some long shine from Riddle right there, where he looked fabulous, by the way. So they did. The idea was definitely to showcase him here because he just ran roughshod on both Usos. Now they're putting some heat on him, but it was some pretty nice work there. The Riddle looked terrific for a while. Usos sell great though. They're so good in this role as Roman's flunkies because they can sell terrific. They're both athletic. They've got a lot of experience, and it's just they've been fabulous. They've been good for a long time, and they're kind of having a career year, just as Roman's flunkies. Career year might be strong, but it's been real good for them. This whole thing has.
Well, I mean, this is the longest they've ever been in the main event scene, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be. Yeah. I mean, when they were feuding over the tag team titles with teams like Rowan and Harper, those matches were fabulous, but they were usually like the first thing on a pay-per-view to start the pay-per-view off with a good match. This is something where they're in something that really matters, and they've stepped up.
I would like to add too, I am always a big fan of bad guys who wear all white.
We had this discussion last week, didn't we?
We did.
And the Hogan wearing
all white. Yeah. All white. Magical.
The Usos have been as awesome as they've been, overshadowed a bit just by the Roman stuff, where it's like you kind of forget, oh my God, they're tag champions, they're fantastic, they don't lose, but again, they're always Roman's flunkies. Does that hurt them a touch, or am I way digging in too much?
I don't think it hurts him in this. The way it's been done here, I don't think it's hurt him. That's just my opinion.
My kids told me I was digging in way too much, so I may have got my answer there.
It feels like a double-edged sword. If you don't have the association with Roman, then they don't get nearly the level of influence, emphasis, stature on the roster in which, like, the Roman association elevates them above to what they were before, and they were already really high. Without it, though, you have to have them be the people that eat the loss in order to give the dramatic tension for a feud with Roman. But if they weren't there, you'd be way more limited of what you could do with Roman. If they were there, if they are there, so you're getting everything that you can, but it does come at the cost, and it's just the business.
It's also revitalized them because they were kind of a tired act. They had been in the company for years and years and years, and they got to be like the Usos were coming out in the Dayglow gear, and you're just like, all right, we'll do another one of these, I guess. And it's not bad. It was never bad, but this whole thing has just kind of made them it freshened them up. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to ask a question about the heels wearing all white. And again, I'm going to go way back here, so pardon me. But did Waylon Mercy make you question that at all?
Waylon Mercy. Second Waylon Mercy reference on this show.
On this, there was another one?
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
We were talking about Hogan 84, 85 with the white boots coming out.
Oh, boy. Oh, now I'm embarrassed for myself.
Sorry, jump in. Did you see the Larry?
I'm not helping this skew any younger. I apologize.
So the Waylon Mercy reference.
Comment. Oh, sorry. Do that first. Sorry.
Well, the Waylon Mercy reference was because we were talking about when the Undertaker debuted at Survivor Series, how many of us knew who he was prior, which was Mean Mark Callis, and so when he came over, it was like this not this mysterious guy to me. It's like, oh, I know who that guy is.
Right.
And so what we were saying is that when he was in NWA WCW, he was actually the third wheel skyscraper. When Sid got hurt, he came in as the third skyscraper, and people were like, who's this guy? We want Sid. And so for him to then turn that into like the giant career that he did was actually pretty amazing. And Waylon Mercy obviously was their tag team partner in Skyscrapers.
Riddle's carrying this whole thing, by crikey. They haven't even just working toward a hot tag. Orton hasn't done anything yet, and it's been a pretty decent match here.
So Scott Young, who is going to be, I believe he's going to be on the Wrap with Keela Cash tonight, said Jey Uso having that singles run was one of the best things that happened. So yeah, that was another thing, is that when his brother wasn't even there, that he still produced and he showed that he could actually do something, without being in a tag team. So that's cool.
He did a great job. Jay did, really establishing Roman as that top level heel. He did a lot of great work to set up the roots for that whole beginning. He was the first guy that Roman went through after he won the title from Braun Strowman in that like SummerSlam, the week after SummerSlam pay-per-view thing that they did when Roman came back. Yeah. And then they worked with that and then drew it out with Jimmy coming back. And ever since then, all three of them have just been on a different stratosphere from where they were before the 2020 SummerSlam.
Garrett, I don't know if you can bring it up, but did you guys see the comment from Larry in the chat? Lance Storm tweeted, "This should be back to the Battle Royal. This should be called the Indie Battle Royal. Everyone's in t-shirts and your payoff's a pizza."
Wait,
fantastic.
Wait, but Tommaso Ciampa told me he worked for a hot dog and a handshake.
Well, this is an upgrade from that. I mean, pizza's better than hot dogs. Maybe not the pizzas outside the New Japan show.
So
like a regular pizza.
I didn't get Dave has not hit me up yet, so he's focusing very hard on this show. But he did tweet that he thought that it was a great match and the finish was there to protect Charlotte more than anything. So he did like the match. I was just like wondering if we were just way off on what the consensus was.
Brian Alvarez put it over as a great match too. So on the observer side of the equation, they thought it was good.
We can tell a good match with the volume off, everybody.
I dropped for 2 minutes, and if you guys are cool with that, I'd love to come back. I'm having a time of my life here.
Sure, we're gonna bring in Jeremy and CJ as well in a bit.
This has been pretty good. I mean, since now the babyface has made the hot tag, they've been rolling, and man, Riddle's just athletic as hell. He's so much stronger than he looks. He's so lanky, and then he just starts throwing people around and doing those lifts and pauses, and then suplexes them. And
it already great.
I thought that there were going to be some good matches on the show. Just the problem is that they don't make you excited for them. You got to sit through it in order to get rewarded. And I'm just like, why don't you make people more excited for this stuff?
It's what I wrote on the other thing. It just feels like it's on the way to something else. And it was like somebody looked at it on the calendar and said, "Oh crap, Survivor Series is in a couple of weeks," because they did not start building this show until 13 days ago. It wasn't even mentioned. Big E hadn't mentioned Roman Reigns. The Becky and Charlotte thing was kind of stewing, but it wasn't even necessarily to do with Survivor Series. The whole show felt like it was forgotten about. Priest and Nakamura never did mention each other. So there hasn't been a big build. There has not at all. It's the smallest build I've ever seen for a Survivor Series, ever.
I don't think the show was forgotten about. I just think that the company thinks that the show promotes itself. Like, they don't have to do anything. Everybody knows the concept. I'm like, here it is. Here you go. They're going to wrestle each other. And once they're finally in the ring, you have some sense of investment. But it wasn't until these matches started that I cared at all whatsoever. And I've been watching these shows every time they've been coming on. It was a stopgap. It was like a New Japan anniversary show in which it not really going to make a difference. The finishing are predictable, but at least then they've made an effort to make you have a level of investment into these matches. These matches are being told to us that they are important simply because they exist, and that's not enough to compel people.
Okay, so to take your thought process on this even further, we used to have a TLC show. We do not this year, and I'm not mad about that. And they're introducing this day one show on New Year's Day. So by that theory, are you saying that they're going to really, really hype up this day one show because we don't, it's not on a normal pay-per-view day? There's no, how many years has the Survivor Series been around? It's a
35.
New time, new day. Like, so by that thinking, are they going to promote the day one pay-per-view?
I think they kind of have to. The big issue is that there's nothing about this that's pre-existing. So any interest or hype in this show is completely dependent on the work that WWE does to hype it, either via social media, tickets, TV, or whatnot. They've never done a New Year's Day show like this before, and I don't know if it's gonna have to be a save face methodology to do so, but they're definitely, I feel like people are paying attention to how this show is gonna do.
So it's not like there's going to be anything special on that show, though, right? Like, it's going to be Seth and Big E. It's going to be Roman and Drew. Like, that.
There it is. I tell you what, I got my crystal ball working today.
There we go. Nice job, Randy Orton. So official Lil Silver, thanks for stopping in. He says, good. They don't need to let Survivor Series be the last pay-per-view of the year like back in the old days. Well, I think it is going to be the last pay-per-view of the year, right?
Sure is.
Like, there is no TLC. So outside of like maybe the last 10 years, I don't know how many years we've had a December pay-per-view. Actually, probably going back to 97, I'm going to guess. 96, 97? Would they have done an In Your House in 1996?
I'd have to look that up.
So
probably was. I feel like, well, between, because they would go right from this to the Rumble back then.
Yeah.
And they might have slipped one in.
Yeah. All right. This match is over.
That match was very short. That match was very short.
Randy Orton with the RKO from out of nowhere, which is where all RKOs come from.
We're going to bring on Jeremy and CJ here as we talk about the next match, and then we'll bring back John as well. So we're adding 3 more people, so we're doubling the amount of people. I think it's going to give us a different setup here. So let's see how this works.
We're back.
Oh, there we go. A little bit different here. What's up, fellas? CJ, what do you think about the show so far?
It's pretty good. You talked about the promotion being really just nothing, but I have a soft spot for Survivor Series, and I kind of like the concept, so I've enjoyed it. And Becky and Charlotte is the best thing by a country mile.
So you are in agreement, because Matthew had popped in to say that he didn't like the match at all, and I was like, wow, maybe we're like watching it without the sound. We didn't get the whole thing, but so you agree that was a pretty good match?
Yeah, I really liked it because there's that. Whether it's a work or if they've actually got beef, they worked the match in a way that made you think they really didn't like each other, and it was a bit sloppy in a good way. Mm-hmm. And that's why I liked it. And there was great trash talk as well in the match.
I was able to see that was really good.
A couple of S words.
Okay, so here we go, Matthew. Matthew's bringing some more heat for us now. Last time Survivor Series was the last pay-per-view of the year was 1994. So there we go.
Thank you.
Nice job. Nice research there, Matthew. I'm gonna try and figure out a way to add our because I want to see everybody's names here, and I know that I can do that some way. There we go. Let's see. Did that work? Nope, that didn't work. I guess you can't do it with this many people. Oh well. All right, so we're getting to the end of this thing. So, Jeremy, I guess we have 2 matches left. Jeremy, what is your take on the show so far?
So far, definitely the highlight has been the opener. Becky and Charlotte had a great little match. It was a bit more physical than you usually get from the women's division in WWE, especially now.
Did you sense that there was a sloppiness to it, or did you sense that? Okay.
It was imperfect, but in a good way. And I've been watching the show with like 25% volume, so I could hear some of the smack talk, and that added to it. I mean, it was different, and that's something WWE just needs to have. Is something that feels a little different. It stands out, and I don't know if I'd say it was, a match of the year or anything. For Charlotte, it was one of her better and more memorable matches.
So what's interesting about this Rock thing? If it happens now, from what we believe, it may not happen this year, could happen next year. If it happens, actually not in 2022, but 2023. If it happens in 2023, is that 11 years after his last wrestling match?
12.
Well, Rowan.
No, 13 was the last one. Because 30 was 14, and he wrestled in 13, which was 29.
Okay, so it'll be 10, 11 years. So
yeah.
Yes and no, because he had a legitimate wrestling match in Dallas.
That was not legitimate. He did
not counting WrestleMania 32.
I was right there.
It was his 9-second win, but not legit.
The bell rang once and the bell rang twice. That match happened.
Though I did see. Did you see the thing where Rowan? I guess he was on some game show. It was like a trivia show, and he was a contestant on it. And one of the ways that they described him was that he lost to The Rock in the fastest match ever at WrestleMania history.
Well, at least he did his job correctly. It wasn't like SD Jones, and it took 22 seconds for a match.
SD Jones was 9 seconds. Well, no, that was here because Rock was talking about. Sorry, jump in. That he was a record breaker at every WrestleMania. He broke this record, that record, pay-per-view buys, and 32. He had the fastest match ever, where it was like a 4-second match.
Wait, what happened here? Where's the egg?
Missing egg?
The egg has been. I have an update on this. I was listening to the audio. The egg is gone, and he said, "I knew this would happen if we went to Brooklyn or something like that." And so,
oh no,
Adam Pearce has been sent to look for the egg. So just to. There's drama now. There's drama now. I tell you.
I didn't see Vince having a red phone case. That's interesting.
100% R-Truth stole it, and he's making an omelet.
The red phone case. We knew Raw was his favorite show. Raw has always been his favorite show.
Okay, here's a question. Leslie Nielsen passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not recently, or was it some time
years ago?
Okay, years ago.
8 years ago, yeah.
More than 5 years ago.
It's unfortunate because he could. So Larry has the same comment as me. Because when we had to solve the who was the real Undertaker scenario. They grabbed Leslie Nielsen to try and figure that one out. So that's who Vince should hire. Is unfortunately he cannot, but that was immediately where my mind went on that one.
Well, he gave some of his payday to George Kennedy.
So I'm gonna throw something out here real quick.
Okay,
they're doing a Japanese comic book theme for a Chinese wrestler.
Oh, is this for Xia Li?
Yes, because there is no nuance whatsoever.
Well, it's like they have their one Japanese theme until Asuka came in. It was all Orient Express or Bull Nakano. Everyone got to have that one theme song.
But Japanese manga and a Chinese wrestler is not exactly. It is not as line up with each other as one would typically think, and they'll probably get hit for that a little bit.
Maybe Cena can apologize for them.
Oh my god!
Wow, I love this group.
Okay, so here's my question for Xia Li. And the only reason we even have to talk about it is because they're doing the build-up. I saw it on SmackDown and now here. We saw a more impressive build-up for her on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And they did just about nothing with her. So they're putting money into this thing for her again. And are we supposed to believe that, yeah, this time we're actually going to do something with her? Because the whole thing in NXT was about Mei Ting, the mysterious Mei Ting. And then now she's on her own. So I don't buy this one bit, but that's because I watched NXT. Maybe they're just hoping that people didn't watch NXT and don't know who this is.
It's not like
After
they're
I've seen the after I've seen the immense makeovers that Xia Li and Shotzi Blackheart have both gotten in terms of feathered hair and strength and makeup, it does seem to feel like their emphasis is not how well you can go in the ring, just how well you look in the ring. So I don't know if it really matters to them.
Emphasis, though.
I know. I'm just coming right back to it. But for her, I don't see what they're offering her as something that's going to allow her to stand out from the rest of the crowd.
I mean, it's all about they could remake them. Shotzi looks pretty much the same to me, but they could put an emphasis on their look or give them more video packages or X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
But nothing matters if they treat them like Toni Storm, right? Because they did the same thing to Toni Storm. She's got this character. She's a little rock star fan from the early 90s, even though she wasn't even born by then. Like they were doing that thing. And then she came in and she wrestled and she lost. And then she was done. And now she's back in some, like, that's the thing is, I don't believe any of this because they put so much money into so many characters and then they drop them in a second and then we don't see them again. So that, like,
or they release them.
Yeah, or they release them. Like, to me, I wait and see on that stuff, and that's not how you're supposed to feel. Like, you should have some feeling of trust that the company is going to portray somebody as important and then do something. Like, that's how it used to be. But unfortunately, because of their level of, just
competence,
their percentage of success rate on this has been so low that you just don't even bother. Like, it's not even worth paying attention to Xia Li because she may work and it'll be 3 characters from now and she may have a different name altogether. Like, that's just kind of the feeling I have with them in the talent building.
You're right. And the one thing that Xia Li has going for her that may be unique to her is that somewhere in the corporate recesses of WWE that they are pushing forth the idea that we really, really want a true Chinese star. And because to try to open up that market, which is something they've been trying to do. They've tried and failed with India for a long time. They really haven't had anybody really talented enough on the Chinese side to really get anybody a push. But if they feel like it's her, they might put a little bit of steam behind her for a while until they lose interest. But I'm also hoping, by the way, I'm also hoping this is Toni Storm's coming out. I'm just praying for it that they had her do the confrontation with Charlotte. I'm hoping that they realize that she's one of the best women workers there is out there, and that it's her time. I'm not holding my breath. I'm just hoping at that point. The other point I wanted to make real quick before this match started: Carmella's outfit is made up of the stuff they cut out when they were making Becky Lynch's outfit. So, little trivia note there.
They left in all those giant knee pad things for Becky.
So, oh, hey, look, this is perfect. This fits Carmella. We can just use this.
I was thinking about the match lineup so far. I think Raw has won every match on the show so far.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Well, SmackDown's going to get the main, so
yeah. And with the way that this has been built up with dysfunctionality on the SmackDown team, you're kind of leaning towards the Raw women winning this one as well.
By the way, I want to shout out the people who are watching. hopefully we're all kind of like, the way that I think about this is we're all just watching this together. I'm reading everybody's comments. We're putting comments into the feed. The six of us are chit-chatting, but I sort of feel like we're also talking to everybody who's watching as well. So thank you for jumping in and hanging out with us, because that's what it feels like. It just feels like a big hangout session. So Matthew says WWE is huge in India. The reason WWE is so big on social media, even compared to mainstream sports, is because of their Indian audience.
Yes, that's true, but they haven't monetized it.
True.
And then last time I checked, that's what really counted. But I understand what you mean, Matthew. They definitely have a following out there. They just haven't figured out how to get any money from it.
So for Jeremy Peoples, do you actually have some headphones or a mic? Because I think you're talking into your computer microphone, and like the beginning and the ends of your words don't get picked up. So we can hear. If you have like a longer sentence, we can hear what you're saying. But if it's not, then it breaks up. At least on my end, it breaks up for me.
That's odd, yeah, because I'm just using my phone mic.
Oh, you're using your iPhone. Interesting. I'm trying to figure out. I wonder what. So you don't have like the headphones that come with the mic or will come with the phone? Because you could plug those in, and I bet you we would hear you better.
Okay. Yeah.
Try that.
That's it.
They it appears that they cut most of the women on SmackDown's entrance and gonna do 2 for that side to kind of speed up the process of this show.
By the way, was it me or did Shotzi and Sasha Banks like not have that good of a match on SmackDown?
It wasn't good.
Who watched? Unfortunate
It was
too,
fine.
because I really like Shotzi. I like her look. I like her charisma. I like her act. But man, that's been the thing with her, is just the in-ring. And it seemed like to me in NXT she was getting better. And I don't know. It could be just me hoping that she was getting better, but it's a bummer if she can't, because I think she's got interest, because she's also isn't she like Filipino?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So that's another thing that
right.
When it comes to the.
I like that Shotzi's also fearless. I mean, when she throws herself through like a tope suicida, I mean, she throws herself through there. I mean, there have been a couple of times when I was sure she killed herself in NXT, but she has a disregard for that. She takes good bumps. She just needs to put it all together, and she might. I feel like she's better than she was when she started, but it's fair to say that Sasha match wasn't her best work. But maybe it'll come together for her. But I'm rooting for her because for the same reason you are. Nobody looks like her. I mean, she's not just another of anything. Nobody else looks like that. And that's the kind of thing you need. Is wrestling is supposed to be a variety show.
Yes.
And that's what gets lost a lot, I think, especially with WWE, and everybody's kind of trained the same. Everybody works the same, and they do the same finishes, and they do the same gimmicks. And it's nice to see somebody that doesn't look exactly like everyone else.
It's not too far of a leap to say that of the post Bianca, post Rhea Ripley class, that Shotzi very clearly has the highest upside of any of the talent that is new to either Raw or SmackDown roster.
I still think Toni Storm. I still think Toni Storm's better.
Well, Toni Storm is one of the best women workers of the world before she got to WWE. So
Toni Storm is better. I'm saying that Shotzi has more upside in the company.
I still think Toni Storm has more upside.
Yeah.
They may not view her right now in the way that we want them to view her, but I think even with this minimal push, I think she'll be able to get over enough to where she'll get a chance. What does that chance look like? How long does that chance last? I don't know, but she's got something that very few women on that roster outside of the top 4 that we were talking about, how that top 4 is just so great. The next level, Toni Storm probably, maybe it's Toni Storm and Rhea are right there as far as like the it factor. Yeah. And so I think that's going to rise above, but that is not to say that Shotzi doesn't have a decent upside, because I think she does. Toni
just stole the opening pinfall here too.
I guess, Jeremy, do you think when you're saying that, are you thinking upside as a worker or upside as a superstar overall package?
I just believe that
I'm not
When
questioning.
I look at Tony Storm and I look at Shotzi Blackheart, I think one of those two people will still be in the company in 2 years, and I think it's Shotzi Blackheart.
Okay,
yeah, but
so
one
you're
of them
saying
might
maybe
be
upside
AEW champion, though. That's the difference.
It's exactly
like that's how
Tony,
Tony Storm is.
Tony might be main eventing for another company instead of doing mid-card matches somewhere. Yeah.
I am 100% talking about an upside in WWE. There is something about Tony Storm that I do not believe that the company gets about her, and I'm not
more likely that Shotzi will get a push.
Just she'll be. I don't know how to quantify it other than, and we're talking in 2 years as if like we're Monday morning quarterbacking this. It would seem to me that Shotzi has a better trajectory in the company.
Lil Silver wants to see everybody go to Impact Wrestling, by the way. I think he's an Impact Wrestling fan. I'm with him, though. I would love to, like, somebody asked me, I don't know if it did, maybe somebody didn't ask me, but somebody made the point of, like, we have AEW, we have WWE. There is enough talent outside of those two companies that you could feasibly have a third brand that is maybe not right there with those two, but is close. And it is a darn shame that cannot be Impact Wrestling, right? Like, it's so unfortunate. It's very
not even Ring of Honor.
Well, Ring of not anymore,
right? But there's no one positioned for the opportunity that has presented itself for this unbelievable amount of talent that is just out there, ready to work.
The problem is, you just need more billionaire families who like wrestling, I guess.
Gotta have a lot of bored rich people.
I'll call all of my billionaire friends.
Anyone have Brian Koppelman's phone number? The guy that does billions. He loves wrestling. He mentions it all the time on that show. Becky Lynch has been on it.
He's a Bill Simmons guy, I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm sure he's got a line to WWE because Bill Simmons and the Ringer are kind of working with WWE right now. Yeah, we do. I mean, there's got to be like, I'm thinking of like football or baseball or basketball owners. Like the fun thing for them is to like buy into like these soccer franchises and buy small pieces of these soccer teams. It's like, come on, guys, you can buy into pro wrestling and use your contacts to get involved with some of these networks.
I mean, Rick Rubin back with Rick Rubin was dabbling with the Smoky Mountain, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was the financer.
Yep.
Wasn't Mark Cuban also dabbling like somewhere around the pro wrestling world?
Access TV was this thing with New Japan. Yeah.
Jeannie Buss is involved in
wrestling.
Yeah.
People are watching it. They see something happening. They just, you can't find the people from the 90s who are going to tell you how to run a wrestling company and then run it into the ground. It just the pedigree
Jim
of
Hurt's
people
still around.
Is he really still around? How
Yes.
old is that guy? He's got to be what?
About 82 or something. He's up there.
Oh my god! And Ric Flair still wants to like say bad things about the poor guy.
I would. He argued with me one day about WCW.
Wait, Jim Herd argued with you?
Yes, on Twitter.
How?
About WCW. He's on Twitter.
Oh my god!
Everybody has an opinion.
What'd you say, John?
Oh no, I was saying, did you see Rick's latest Twitter comment? He showed a photo of himself and CM Punk, and he basically said, AEW, if you want to print money, sign me and give us the microphone for 10 minutes.
I saw that.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So you saw it,
Oh, Rick.
I don't think you're going to sign him, but that's what he was asking for.
Well, I mean, they would have signed him if it was for Dark Side of the Ring.
I
think he'd have been there.
Oh, yeah.
You can have Jay Lethal against CM Punk as kind of a surrogate of that. That'd work.
That could work.
I mean, it's Jay Lethal. I do wonder how much negativity is going to be out. How many people are going to try and find more information to bring up, like, I'm talking about the Bixen Spans and those ilk to get, because they did bring him in, I'm assuming because they didn't find what would have scared them away from bringing him in what Taylor Hendricks and some of the other women had said.
And he's got stuff, and Marty Scurll is. I mean, I still remember he was on that BTE episode last. It would have been June 2020, and the story broke the week later, I believe, and he was gone. And you have to. There's a lot of folks that there's consequences to actions. I'll just leave it there.
It did spare us from having to see Joey Ryan at some point in AEW. So,
but there's always XPW. So,
yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. I mean, because Joey would have been in AEW, and obviously when that broke, not happening.
I don't know if he would have been in AEW
or been a king.
Because, and here's the reason. I think his relationship with a lot of those guys was changing as some of this stuff was happening, I think, from what I understand.
And what could you really do with him in AEW? Because even in Impact, he was low mid-card comedy guy. So they already had Avalon. Like, you don't really need more Peter Avalons.
Well, you're right, but the I'll say this about AEW is that you could have said the same thing about Orange Cassidy. Basically, is that he's a comedy guy, and they've actually turned him into a character that people really care about. So they're working some magic with some of those characters that we wouldn't normally think would ever be taken seriously.
I agree with you, but at the same time, their world champion was in a feud with the guy over penis druid, so. I am not 100% sure that they really wanted to remind people about that.
I didn't say it would be a good idea. I'm just saying they can do wonderful things with people who are comedy wrestlers.
We have a massive Orange Cassidy fan here who, hadn't heard about him and not knowing what he may have been or been typecast at the Indies, but the kid loves all the Orange Cassidy stuff. So you're right. I mean, it's a great point. AEW has got that ability to take folks that you might think of, well, that's unique or weird or different, whatever word you want to use, and get a subsection of their audience passionate about them, which is good business, by the way. And that's what they should be doing.
So we're doing a Survivor Series watch-along, by the way. I just wanted to mention that Shotzi Blackheart's gone totally rogue and is turning on her teammates here as we go along. She's knocked Sasha Banks and Rhea Ripley around, so it's
even when she tagged herself into this match, she did it as a way to make fun of or goof with Sasha. So the other thing with the Orange Cassidy thing that I think is very underrated that people don't understand, he is booked like maybe the best babyface in the company when it comes to the underdog babyface who never loses. He lost to Matt Hardy in recently, which surprised me, but very rarely loses matches. And when it comes to booking babyfaces, it is the opposite of what WWE does, right? Which is have the babyface lose. Look at Orange Cassidy's record. He does not lose matches very often. And that's why he's always in the top 5 all the time, because his record's always so good.
Well, it's almost like if you give fans a babyface they can actually believe in, that they'll support him. It's a new concept in wrestling that AEW is just now trying out, and it's WWE. Just why would you root for a babyface? Because they're always booked to look dumb or ineffective, and that doesn't inspire anybody. And if you give people a chance to make the fans happy, and the fans can show up thinking my guy is going to come or my woman is going to come through for me in this match, and then let it happen, then that'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that momentum will build. WWE is pathologically opposed to doing that. It's very bizarre.
So you just summed up the last 20 years so well, and you did perfectly. I mean,
we're getting a really good one-on-one with Sasha and Bianca here, as the other women are all out all out of the ring.
And do you guys think this has been a good match? Because the fans were just doing the wave, which is rarely a good sign. It feels like it's been a decent match, though.
It's a decent match with talent who is not over.
Yeah, okay.
They're giving it time to breathe. So far, we've had a 10-minute match with, I think, 1 elimination. And that does extend it to making it feel like the stakes are raised a little bit.
Hey, not to bury the lead, but just sorry to jump in. Garrett, what you said there, we should probably print and put in quotes.
Which is?
Oh, he froze right on that.
That sums up.
I know. I'm like, what is it? What?
Oh, no.
Yeah, your camera froze for a second.
It was the best dramatic pause we could have asked for. Everyone was on the edge of their seat.
No, if you guys can hear me again, though, but you said they're having a great match with talent that is not over. I mean, that sums it up right there.
I mean, even Rhea Ripley, who is tremendous, she was far more over in NXT than she is in the main roster, and I don't think that that's her fault in any way. Like it's all the way that they've positioned her. So did you guys want to guess the star rating of Charlotte and Becky from Dave?
4.25.
4.25.
4.5.
4.25.
I'll go over 4.5.
I think 4.25 was what I was at too, and that's what he's at.
No.
We've spent enough time with Dave watching him. We're getting good at this. Well, maybe you guys will have twice, so I'm getting used to what he likes and stuff. Also, when you subscribe for 20 plus years, you kind of figure it out. Yeah, totally. Oh, the poor braid. At some point,
the hair versus hair match is going to be great.
At some point, you got to get rid of the braid.
Right? Main event.
They have to do the hair match someday. Have to.
When Stephanie beats her, it's going to be so good.
That was funny. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I got dizzy for a second. Hold on.
Thumbs up there.
That was funny.
You give thumbs up.
The
on
braid
that
will
one
finally be done when Bianca is a heel and she loses because of the braid.
No.
It's a great gimmick. You want to talk about another thing that makes somebody unique. It works for her. She makes it work for her. The fact that she can actually get color on people by whipping people with it helps too.
I am so glad that they do not use that hair as a weapon more than once or twice a year.
Yeah.
It looks like it hurts like hell.
It does. It's cut people.
It's like a whip.
It is a very special thing that she has.
Here's Selena trying to wrestle. Bless her little heart.
Yeah, it's not good.
She has not gotten any better since she was Sarita in TNA, and it's sad. It's not really her fault because she doesn't have much ring time. But
she should be a manager. She's a terrific manager.
I think she's good at.
That was great right there.
Oh, that was really Tony's, man. Tony, there you go. 2 eliminations for Tony. This is it. Tony's coming out party. Feeling it.
Tony time.
This is gonna be the thing where she eliminates 3 people but doesn't win the match. But she gets that. She eliminated 3 people push.
The Shawn Michaels spot.
Yes. She'd have been so good if she'd come around in '94 against Bull Nakano. Like that. That'd have been a great match.
You talking about Tony Storm?
Yeah, her against Bull Nakano. That'd have been phenomenal.
Does she work aggressive strong style enough though?
Yeah, she did in Japan.
Oh yeah, and she's got enough contrast too. Like she can go toe to toe with her. I was just watching Bull Nakano against Heidi Lee Morgan, and it was shockingly great. That's his Heidi Lee Morgan stuff looking pretty soft and showing a lot of light. And Tony would work snug and still have the credibility because she's dense to throw her around.
The Waylon Mercy reference was one that I wasn't expecting. Heidi Lee Morgan, I was expecting even less than the Waylon Mercy. I
just got Tony.
I wanted to point out
There's
what
some
Larry
deep cuts
said
tonight, Garrett. Deep cuts.
What Larry said about the people who are upset about the full gear star ratings are going to flip that. This is it's only 4.25, and it should have been over 5. You know, I shouldn't be broadcasting Dave's star ratings, by the way, because people look forward to those every Friday morning. They quickly check the pay-per-view thing. So I shouldn't
check Reddit.
It's a VIP spoiler. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe yeah, it's actually 3.75, guys. Sorry.
Hey, Garrett, another thing, just jumping in, I apologize. Great thing you guys, the panel has brought up is that it's unfortunate the WWE homogenizes everyone's style. Like when you guys were just in the conversation, oh, well, so-and-so's in Japan and they were great and now they got pulled back, or so-and-so's here and they're great and they get pulled back. That's one of the frustrating things where to wrestle here, and they even say it, everyone needs to have the same style, do the same thing, this and this. And it just lands up the product, and it's frustrating as a fan.
All right, so Sasha just pinned the number 1 contender on the Raw side, right? Is that what just happened?
Liv Morgan, yeah.
After Shotzi softened her up with, I think, a splash off the top there.
But don't worry, they protected the men's number 1 contender on the Raw side.
Maybe they've given up on Liv already.
They never
She had her 3 weeks.
started with her.
It's been 3 weeks, right?
The person that I did not feel had any real
Wow, that was nice.
momentum on either side is the first challenger for the new for the title holder on either side. Every one of them were, you have a job to do, and that job is not to win the title here.
You got to make
I hope
the
that
champ
Liv
time.
Morgan has. Yeah, I hope Liv Morgan has more of an opportunity in the future, but it did not feel like this was going to be her opportunity now.
So Rhea Ripley, is she on her own here now? Is it 1-on-4?
Bianca's
still there. Bianca, yeah, she's just on a corpse somewhere. Okay.
Although if they win, they'll still be called the Soul Survivors.
Ooh.
Man. It's pretty good.
Bend on that.
This has been pretty good.
Everybody's finisher. Here we go. Boom.
Slice bread.
Shock
Oh.
shots didn't land on her own head doing that. I say DDT.
Oh, well, it is going to come down to. No, there it is. It's going to come down to Bianca is going to have to do it all on her own.
She might
Brand
too.
versus the brand.
She might.
She might actually win this thing.
Bianca, yeah, she might. I see Shotzi leaving the match early.
Or doing something to screw over Sasha, so Sasha doesn't have to do a clean job for Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can she lose her smile in the next 5 minutes?
Shayna. So
24 years late.
Shayna Baszler. She had one wrestling match in Reno after her MMA career was over. And my buddy Alex Goff was out there in Reno, and he was there, and he got to talk to her a little bit. I think he may have even written something, or I did a podcast with him, and we chatted. And then her next match was for John LaRocca's Premier Wrestling in San Jose. Actually, it's in Gilroy. And so I got to interview her about the match. So I mean, it may have been her first technical pro wrestling interview after she retired, but I think I may have had Shayna's first pro wrestling interview as a part of for John's show. Gosh, this was so long ago now. Was that
That's
like
awesome.
5 years ago?
Was she good right away, Garrett? Like, how was that match? Do you remember?
So she faced the woman by the name of Colleen Schneider. Colleen Schneider was also in MMA, and she was still fighting. Colleen Schneider at the time was Josh Barnett's girlfriend. And so that's how, because Shayna trains with Josh. And so they did a very MMA-based pro wrestling match. And for the level of experience of both of them, it was really good. Like, if you watch NXT, like, I always make fun of Jessie Kamea because I always feel like she's, for all the time she's been there, she's not good at all. But someone like Elektra Lopez, when she beat the woman who they just recently released, I forgot her name. She wore the mask.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Cortez?
Yeah.
Katrina
That match was so bad.
Yes,
And they have both been wrestling for much longer. I don't think Colleen has ever had another match. That was like maybe her one and only pro wrestling match. And Shayna and Colleen was like 10 times better than that. So, you know, they both come from a real sport. So they understood like the pacing and what the pain would have felt like anyway. So, but yeah, it was really good for their level of experience for sure.
So the entire SmackDown team sent Sasha packing and wouldn't let her back into the match because she managed to annoy all of them.
So wait, what happened?
Down there.
Sasha got pulled out of the ring by Shotzi. In the melee, she managed to piss off Natalya, Shotzi, and Shayna, in which they all three prevented her from getting back into the ring.
So she got counted out?
She got counted out
No clean
by
job.
her own team.
Sasha's the baby face, right?
Don't try and over.
And now everyone else
Yeah.
feels.
Maybe.
I think she's
I think
she's technically a baby face.
She is. She is.
Garrett, you're 100% right. It's just weird. Yeah.
That is
This is
really weird.
I wanted to give WWE a little bit credit in this match. They had, when the Survivor Series build happened, they had 20 active women wrestlers. 10 on SmackDown, 10 on Raw. 1 on SmackDown is no longer there, which is BFAB. They managed to incorporate 7 out of the 9 in the build of their Survivor Series. Meanwhile, Raw managed to use every one of the women wrestlers who was not the champion in somehow building up to this match and addressing why they were or were not in the match. That is actually kind of impressive, and you got to give them credit for addressing it.
So is Shotzi the last person on this team?
Mm-hmm.
No, Shotzi, Shayna, and
No.
You mean
one more person there? Natalia
was last on one team.
So
Yeah,
Natalia is still not eliminated.
Correct.
Okay.
Shotzi, Shayna, and Natty on the other side, and then Bianca.
On my view, I just saw Bianca. I thought eliminated Natalia on my
That is-
feed.
Okay.
I
So
think she
maybe
eliminated
Or
Shayna.
it was
too.
Shayna. I might have been Shayna. Pardon me.
So
Yeah, I think it's Shayna. So we got
It's
Natty and
Bianca
Shotzi
Solo.
left.
and then Shotzi.
Oh, John Cena spot.
Barabadoo.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that was not good.
Yikes.
She didn't tap. She's on
She's not that.
Shotzi on the top ropes. Oh.
Sorry,
It's interesting booking. I think they're sort of booking really defensively when you get Sasha out of there in the way that they did. The booking here is not meant for the match quality, that's for sure.
It appears that they are trying to maintain that level of strong booking for Bianca at the expense of everybody else. She won the Royal Rumble last year, and this is that same level of like building her as a endurance-based competitor that can take on a challenge over a long period of time. Which,
just
given
overcame
the
it.
fact that she lost to Becky in a minute or 10 seconds, I think they're just trying to do damage control on that.
It was well under
I
a minute.
have no problem whatsoever with what she's doing. I'm saying on the other side, the order in which the last 3 women were, it was almost like they wanted the last 3 women to be the 3 women who would not work with Bianca the best. And again, eliminating Sasha in that way was really, really lame. That's the worst. That's even, to me, it's worse than the Kevin Owens thing, because Kevin Owens, he's not the number one person on that brand.
Right.
And Sasha is right, with Charlotte, she's right there. So
Either way, they got no
8:15
one over with
probably
the
right.
eliminations.
say that again.
I think that 8:15 call for the show might be pretty close.
Yeah, you got the 27 minutes. I think you're gonna very good.
They're gonna go.
Get about 10 minutes of walk and then a 10-minute Hawk fight between Roman and
I mean, if it's
Biggie.
10 minutes, I think that's a good time. 10 to 14, I think is good. If
Yeah.
they do a 25-minute match because it's the main event, I think it'll be good because Roman is good at that style, but it'll be very predictable from what we've been seeing for the last year with him.
I think if you're reading the room, that
I
was
don't know if
also
you guys do 25.
the 5th match that Raw has won tonight.
There you go.
I was gonna say real quick. I mean, yeah, Garrett, to your point, these might not be the right 2 to go 25. And as Aiden, my son, just brought up the point, he's like, "Don't they need to tie up the Vince McMahon thing?" And I was just thinking about that for a second. Vince doesn't do skits and stuff without there being an ending, and we kind of left on a cliffhanger. The egg is missing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we may get the last skit here because they're doing more Rock stuff in the video.
Oh,
package,
there you
so-
go. So maybe they do tie that up now.
Maybe it's his daughter who took it.
Is she still? Is she still working in
Swapping for a
NXT?
teddy bear with the Undertaker.
Are they advertising The Rock for the Staples Center, or are they going
This
over
is
when The Rock
clip 2 years ago.
showed up? Okay,
SmackDown debut on Fox.
got it. Well, they showed the Staples Center, and I was like, they got the Staples Center in 2 weeks. So I was legitimately confused for a second that they might go back to it.
Plausible deniability. Well, that's
My kids believe the
Yeah,
Rock
sick.
has the egg, and it'll be shown. But again, we're going down that 1/10% chance that the Rock is there, and I don't think that's happening.
But Vince said The
Yeah.
Rock gave it to him, right? Like I am
Yeah, we're gonna-
assuming.
Oh,
Was it like a
Here's
in
Paul.
person, or did he just ship it over?
you signed for FedEx? Yeah. No, but again, my kids brought up the great point, and it thought me back. McMahon's don't have skits that don't have endings.
Except
Like
when
you don't
Vince
have Vince
died.
in 3 segments and then just it be forgotten.
Well, did Vince show up because The Rock didn't? Like they thought Vince would be a good make
Great
good
point,
to appear on
Jeremy.
the show.
It
in
wasn't
case-
a
Great
make good.
point.
Rock was never
just saying.
publicized.
I
but-
understand what you're saying,
no, I
but they are
understand
putting
that.
The Rock front and
That's a
center
good
on
point.
this entire program. And so when you do that, there is a certain amount of audience that thinks, hey, maybe The Rock will show up.
And again,
So
with
if
a
The Rock
shrinking
doesn't show
audience,
up,
your
at
hard
least
core
you
gets
have
bigger.
Vince in there. I don't mean to frustrate you. I apologize.
No, Garrett, or Jeremy, I fully agree with you, and I think we're both frustrating Garrett. So I might get myself banned here. I don't want to do that. But
We have some news from this Caleb Braxton interview segment, by the way.
Oh,
Brock Lesnar's suspension is no longer indefinite.
Gets to save $20 on a ticket. Thank God.
Oh, you mean like it wouldn't be anyone getting in trouble if his music suddenly played tonight?
Well, yeah. So yeah, Heyman just did a whole thing about how he thought she was going to ask him about the egg because, of course, that's all that's on everyone's mind at the moment. But no, as it turns out, the suspension is no longer indefinite, and Heyman is no longer comfortable.
wow.
So
here's another movie commercial. Oh, wrong.
Oh, that's where the egg went.
Maybe Riddle stole it and he thought it had weed in it.
Riddle
I don't think Archer took it and made an omelet.
He's going to make a bong out of it.
I know.
But Peacock's paying a lot of money for Netflix to get showed on their stuff and Fox.
That's actually another great
Netflix is
point.
paying a lot of money.
They're paying $200 million a year for Fox to get plugs and for Netflix to get plugs.
That's a fantastic point.
And Pizza Hut. They don't get a cut of that.
I mean, I can see them signing off on Pizza Hut because Peacock would get that revenue if they sold that chunk to Pizza Hut. But them advertising for Netflix is a bit weird.
It's kind of like one of those UFC sponsorship deals for the fighters. It benefits us, not you.
Wait, what's this Bobby Lashley thing about? Documentary about him?
Had to not age in 20 years.
Or they're showing him in college and he's 100 pounds lighter?
Look, when your coach is a Horian, you find methods to get.
Coach the Horian. I like it. That was the steroid guy.
Power of the bow tie.
That got giggles in the Quinn household.
All right, enough of this. Let's move on to the next match.
Jeremy, I'm gonna up you to 820 from 815 now because they're putting all this stuff in.
Jesus, this stuff.
You
Well,
know
I-
that they give you those
Look at
8
them
minutes
now.
in between every match of stuff that you don't need, and that's all you wish is that they did the AEW. Like, let's move on to the next match.
Look, I
me
love
one.
Bobby
Well,
Lashley,
last week, yeah.
but this would have been fine on Raw as well.
Or on the website.
Yeah, on YouTube, on Twitter.
Well, they're pacing the ads better this month than they did before. Before they were just like cutting into key parts of the program, and now they're building them in as filler.
is this the next WWE documentary on him? Or?
My question is,
Gotta be,
why are
right?
we spending all this time on Lashley right before the main event? Because I know how they work. Are they playing their hands that Lashley is going to interfere in the Big E Roman Reigns main event in some capacity and set up the next challenger?
He already lost clean in a cage, though.
No, I'm not disagreeing. But it's Big E and Roman next, right?
Yeah.
So why are they showing Lashley unless maybe something happens?
We get Dwayne and
They're just I think they're just reminding everyone all the effort that they put into building this guy over the last year and a half. Which, if I were them, I would do it too.
That
One of
led
the few
to
bright spots in your roster.
nothing though.
I
Like
mean,
it wasn't
led
even
to-
a tease for a documentary. It was just a video package on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, right before the main event. It's just weird.
Maybe it was a commercial or something, but we didn't see a visual of it.
And the parts that I did hear, it was baby facing him totally. I mean, it was about what a great guy he was, what an accomplished athlete he was, like him in a suit, like speaking humbly about his, wrestling and military service and stuff like that. So it wasn't a video package set up for this is a dangerous heel that could strike at any moment. So I have a feeling that might have been for some sort of Peacock documentary that's coming, or I don't know. I didn't see.
Interesting. All right, come on. Let's get to the main event.
I don't know why they just don't call this show New Year's Revolution now. It's so weird. It's like they already have the name.
AEW has, don't they have Revolution?
They do. That's their February. Revolution's their February one usually.
We had it first. That's a Reg won the belt.
There's just still baggage with a lot of those old names.
That was
I don't know if it was Armageddon nowadays.
I loved that feud though. The Triple H and Shawn against Edge and Randy Orton.
The second greatest Money in the Bank cash-in happened at a New Year's Revolution.
Yeah.
January 2006. So, funny quick story on that. I remember, and I go back. I remember this was before I had kids. Edge lost his match earlier that night, and he gives him an interview. I'm storming out, and it was one of those moments. Oh, I should have emailed Dave. I was like, I think he's got to cash in tonight. 2.5 hours later, cash in. I was like, I knew it. No one to prove it to but myself, but I was very excited in that moment.
It was a very exciting time. You had.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say, it was an exciting time. You had WWE doing Edge, and then you had TNA a year before had the chance to really push Monty Brown, and they didn't because they had to have Jeff Jarrett go over, by God.
What are they? Gosh, I usually I understand that they look at these shows as like a 3-hour show that you may want to watch again at some point, right? But to the buying audience who is watching right now, we've watched all this stuff before. Like, we don't need to watch all of this stuff. We're already excited.
Amen.
And this is so much of a waste of time. I wish like they would just put some of the stuff in post-production for the second or third viewing, because I'm just like, I watched all of this stuff already, and I can tell you what's coming next, and we're gonna break the crown, and we're gonna throw the chair over the top rope, and all this stuff. Like, it's unnecessary.
No, it has a soap opera filter on it, so you see it's totally.
I think someone heard, or they're logging in and heard Jeremy say 8:15 finish time. They said, "Let's mess with them," and they threw in a bunch of video pictures.
I do think it's really interesting. A lot of us have forgotten this is Big E's first big main event match. Like, he got thrown right into the fire with Roman Reigns in a main event, like champion versus champion match. And I can't think of the most high profile match he's had up to this point that would even like hold a candle to this level of prominence. Anybody else?
It's this one, I think. No, I think
it's the biggest match. It's the biggest match of his career.
Yeah.
Except stipulations wise, it's meaningless, unfortunately.
But the appearance of how he can carry himself going into the future, there's a lot riding on this match on how he looks against Roman Reigns.
Does he feel like a main eventer?
Right. Just where this is a State of the Union match with him to see where he's at. Because I think he can do it. I think he's going to be great tonight, but who knows?
He's had the promos where he feels like, okay, he's turning that corner, but the matches, not that he's not bad at all, but it's just the WWE formula hurts him.
I'd like the Drew match a lot.
Did you guys see last night? Big E walked out.
Sean Porter,
Crawford, no,
Yeah,
Porter. I'm sorry, Porter. Yeah, He was in a lovely suit. I mean, but he looked prime time. He looked like he belonged there. He looked like a celebrity. It was really cool.
Andreas Hale knows Porter, and he's also really close with Big E, so he set the whole thing up.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's how it happened.
Great on Observer Radio.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would say that I think it's pretty near a lock that they keep with the momentum of Roman winning on this match, especially with the way that the card is played out. But I want nothing more than to see Big E win this match and stand tall. And they just
can see it happen.
They put him on a different level.
Here's something that would make me laugh if it were true. So we heard all the stuff about Fox wanting to make sure that they had the top talent. You know, Charlotte was so high on their list of talent that they wanted in the draft, and USA wanted to make sure they weren't getting like the leftovers, and they needed prominent people. And so there was this whole thing, right, about both shows feeling maybe that they were not getting the best version of WWE. And so what if SmackDown was like, if we get Charlotte, we'll lose all the matches at Survivor Series.
Again.
You want to talk about tinfoil hat conspiracies.
That would crack me up if like that was part of the deal. It's like, we paid all this money. We should get, you know, we should get Charlotte and we should get Roman. Like, we want both of them. And then they're like, but we'll lose all these matches. You just let us have these guys. I think that would crack me up.
Garrett, that's a very deep fourth wall cut. I love it though. That's deep and fourth wall and meta, the whole thing.
Wait until Cletus beats Roman for the title.
Cletus.
I love that you created a pro wrestling stipulation for TV contracts as if like it's no disqualification, but what you didn't take into consideration was this.
I heard Fox is giving up the Super Bowl to NBC in exchange for ... I'm kidding.
They're getting 7 seasons of The Voice.
They're getting Bound for Glory.
We'll give you Simon Cowell for Charlotte Flair.
So, hey,
you know, this main event between the Universal Champion and the WWE Champion is all well and good, but I'm just worried about the egg.
Again, we don't have a resolution on said egg, and Vince is involved. We'll see. Just on this one,
I wonder if somebody gets belted over the head with the egg by the end of the match.
The egg will be the new 24/7 champion.
What if?
Please God, don't let this be their Survivor Series '97 callback with Vince coming out and an egg finish and Rock's cousin, blah blah blah.
What if Woods, because Roman broke his crown, he uses the egg to knock Roman out, and Big E wins, and he's
break it over his head.
He's the one who stole the egg.
I'm into it.
It's gold. Sure, why not?
There's no way that Big E wins this match, Queen of the Sheet, over Roman.
No.
If he's going to win, there's going to be something that gives the company the out, which personally I'm fine for. Roman doesn't need to win this match. His title's not on the line, and you would forget it within 2 weeks if he lost. I don't think they feel that way. I think that their investment is going to cause them to stay the course no matter what. But this is an opportunity that I hope that they don't pass up.
This is what Big E's been good with here since he took the title, by the way, is this talking thing where he's like talking to himself or talking to his opponent during the match, before the match, after. That stuff's been strong. Both just when he said it, the intensity with which he says it. That's been a nice addition to his act. I mean, they've always been kind of charismatic and talkative even during matches, but he's really leveled it up during this title reign. It looks like somebody who is legitimately psyching himself up. It works.
When you think about it, tonight is the perfect night for Big E to get that win, have Roman put him over, no consequences. Roman can give a great promo next week and save it, and Big E gets made. Jeremy, to your point, like you were saying, but unfortunately, and I'm so jaded, they're not going to do it. But
Nope.
God, it's a great opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I wrote it in the preview. I thought the exact same thing that both of you guys said. This is the
maybe
opportunity
that's
to make
both
him an absolute top
Sorry.
guy, and they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it.
I mean, tonight's their night to do it.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like WrestleMania where if someone loses, tonight's their chance to do it for free. They have a safety net.
And that crowd would
Friday, Paul cuts a great promo. Life's good again.
And it would pop that crowd like crazy. But the WWE just they can't give their baby faces any true moments of triumph. There always has to be some sort of hook on it. There always has to be some sort of. They just don't have that in them anymore to give you the Hulk Hogan vanquishes the heel and then poses for the crowd. Steve Austin delivers a stunner and then drinks the beer. The Rock cuts his promo after. All that's gone from WWE now. Like baby faces are never booked to look that strong, where it's just a celebration of a triumph with the fans at the end. They will not give their fans that moment of joy anymore, and it's not a coincidence that they're hurting with audience. They just haven't been done that for many years.
Even with Roman as the top guy, they did.
Big E feels main event, and Big E feels like he is just as big as Roman Reigns in this ring right now. Like he is carrying himself, like he is not afraid of Roman, and I love it.
What if they Lex Luger Big E here? What if he wins by count out and all the New Day comes
every
out
other
and
way,
celebrates?
The key with Luger is he didn't care enough to get Luger. He didn't care enough that he was getting jobbed out. Big E would make himself look strong in another way, whereas Luger just, oh, okay, I lost. Oh well, sure, I'll look like an idiot holding the, being held high, but he wouldn't let himself look that weak.
I don't know. I don't know how much. Like if they came to Big E with this thing and they're like, "You're gonna win the match, but it's gonna be by count out, and you're gonna celebrate like you won the championship," would he have enough pull to say,
no,
might not be the best thing to happen here? I don't know.
They'd hear him out, but
what is on Big E's tights?
On his boots or the tights?
On his tights.
Oh.
He's kind of got the Cyclops color scheme.
It says Giddy Up, it says Kavorka, and I don't know what it says on the... Huh.
Telling the story that he's overpowering Roman earlier.
What helps that Big E is so thick and dense and that he looks physically credible.
Going back to the point earlier of Big E, would he have enough clout or stuff to ask for that win or stuff to say no to something? Would Roman have enough clout to be like, I'm looking over the horizon. We don't have Rock for a year and a half. I don't have that many opponents. Let me put him over tonight where it doesn't count. And then that sets me up for a callback next summer or something.
Or you do it at Mania this year.
Yeah, right. That absolutely. Mania is perfect too. Do you think Rock or Roman has enough self-confidence to do that? And would they listen if he did? I guess so. It's probably a multi-part.
Yeah.
I still think they have Lesnar in mind for Mania, and I think that's pretty much all they're thinking
God,
about.
that again. Jesus Christ.
That's just what I'm reading in the tea leaves. Anyway.
I know. Yeah, it's oh God, that match.
I don't know. Like, it's a rare occasion, right, where someone is being shot to the moon, and then they go, "Oh, by the way, I want someone to be as equally shot to the moon as me." This business is way too cutthroat, I think, for that to even be in Roman's mind. I think he'd do business if they asked him to do business, of course, but I don't think he's like, "Oh yeah, like let me put Big E over so that we are now the two top guys." His mentality is, "No, I want to be the top guy,
the only top guy."
And it's like funny where this ain't Austin Rock. Oh no, it's funny. This ain't Austin Rock or Sam Batista. This is WWE 21, where they're all so castrated that no one's bigger than the company. I mean, that's the sad portion.
Batista in 05 was bigger than half the roster combined. I was watching some stuff.
That,
Holy
but I
Jesus.
totally agree. I'm saying today, no one's bigger than the brand.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but don't you
Yeah.
think that the reason it's like that is because Austin got hurt and Rock left, and Vince was like, I can't put all of my eggs in one or two baskets because then there goes my business when something happens or when that guy leaves.
Give him the excuse.
No,
you don't think all the eggs were in Cena's basket there for a while?
No. Well,
What?
that was the end of that concept.
I think they were, but he
But
just
not-
wasn't The Rock or
Not
Austin.
anymore,
No, but I'm just saying. It sounds like for a few years there, it seemed to me like Vince was just like, well, this man is WWE.
I think Vince's goal after Rock and Austin, again, Cena was probably the tail end of it, was I never want one individual to be close to as big as the brand. I want a bunch of cogs that I can swap out and swap in. And if anyone goes down, again, Roman, when he was sick for a while and he was off last summer, they pull him out, they plug him in. Nothing changed. From a financial perspective, nothing changed.
I think Cena was the perfect company man for that time. I think he understood that the political minefield was that there was going to have to be somebody after Triple H, and for him to be in the favor of that, then that was best for his career. But it's the whole reason why they don't have a union, right? It's because they make sure that the guys who are at the top are very comfortable at the top, and why would they want it to be any other way? And so you can't create the union unless you got John Cena, right there, ready to fight with, the lowest guy in the totem pole. And so thus that's why it doesn't work. And, Cena was not going to be the person who ruffled the feathers. Like, that's why he was also the guy, not just because he had tremendous appeal, but it was also because he was the best person for Vince, who was not going to, Austin was calling shots, and at some point, Rock is calling shots. Like, Vince is begging, to work with this guy. And it's like, no, I've got higher priorities than you. Vince doesn't ever want that to happen. Ever.
With Cena too, he wouldn't just tell the roster to drink the Kool-Aid. He'd help WWE mix it. So
he's a company man.
He's company man.
That's an interesting statement. That's a great statement.
Kool-Aid.
But the reason why Cena is a company man is because Vince made it very he made him a rich man in being a company man. So, like, if Cena and I'm not saying that Cena's wrong for this, I'm not saying he's right for whatever. Like, this is history, but if Cena and these other guys had the foresight, what Cena was making in the company at that time, he could have been making 3x, and the guys who were below him could have been making what he was making. And so overall, the wrestlers are healthier, but it's never going to get there if Cena thinks he's only worth $3 million, when in reality he's worth $20 million.
It's worth mentioning. It's also more of an incentive for Cena to be a company man when there is no other company, and that's the environment that Cena came up in. Also, he couldn't negotiate hard with Vince McMahon to say, "I'll go to where?
Go to TNA. I'll be in a theme park."
Well, eventually it was versus Hollywood, but had that happened 5 years earlier than it did, then maybe that's probably really painful for Vince. But because of the timing, Vince had established the company the way that he wanted, and Cena leaving it sucked because they still haven't replaced him, but it wouldn't have been as bad if he wasn't ready for it.
Well, the Cena era too was where they really got into that ability of getting the better TV deals and being less reliant on pay-per-view gates or pay-per-view buy rates too. And so it all worked out perfectly for WWE because they can go, okay, we can lose Cena now. I mean, they've been phasing him out since 2014. And okay, well, we're moving on. He's still here, but we don't need him as much as we did before.
By the way, the reason we're talking about John Cena and we're not talking about this
I
match
was just about to do this.
is because it is a very slow Roman Reigns start to this match.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a little bit more of a sprint or like a fight, and no, we're getting the slow, long Roman Reigns match here.
Kind of hoping for that Paul Heyman put together big move 5 minutes in and out thing, and we're not getting that. We are getting.
We hit the over on 8:15.
The one little thing they keep doing though is every time Roman covers Big E, kicks out at like barely one. So like the whole thing is he's on top, but he's not killing him.
You know why? That's what Big Van Vader told Bret Hart to do in the Montreal Screwjob. Kick out at one. So that's why Big E doesn't want to get screwed.
Would have been good advice. Well, I guess it didn't matter in that one. But...
Hey, now. Do you guys think there ever will be a Cena, Austin, and not the charismatic person, but I think the question is, Vince is never going to let anyone be that big again, right?
There might be another Cena, there might be another Austin, but it won't be in WWE.
Okay, great. Okay, very valid point. Yeah, not Vince isn't going. It might happen elsewhere, but Vince would rather lose maybe short-term massive gains to make sure he has long-term complete control, that no one can walk out on him and hurt him. Where if today someone walks out, plugs in player 2 or player 3.
That's what we're seeing now.
Yeah,
I would follow up with that. I would say that it's a lot likelier that talent is out there than the talent not being out there.
Now Big E making a comeback now.
More. Jeremy, speaking in riddles again.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No, I was just saying that the idea that the talent would not be able to thrive outside of WWE. WWE, unless they can mold the talent into specifically what they want it to be, that talent just does not. It will not be as successful there if they cannot let the talent be themselves. So Cena was successful because in a lot of ways he could still be himself, channeled to the utmost degree. It's entirely possible that at any given point, anyone on the roster has that potential, and it's just not being shown.
I think Roman, if he is this version of Roman for the next, let's say, 3 or 4 years, I think he'd be pretty close to the size of star that Cena got to. Maybe not the peak Cena, but pretty close. I don't think he's that far off. But the problem is that he was just so poorly booked as a babyface for so long. It's almost like some of those years were wasted.
Yeah.
So here's a question that is not anything related, but again, because this match is a little slow, it'll pick up and we'll start talking about it. But the New Japan and Noah stuff, were you guys following that as it was happening the other day?
Exciting.
Is that the one on the 9th? That's the third show?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
It's Yokohama Arena, yeah.
Yeah. Noah's roster is tremendous.
That's Tokyo Dome Night 3, theoretically, right? Or sorry, Wrestle Kingdom Night 3.
Right. So here's my problem with this is, as a full-fledged member of New Japan World, I don't imagine I'm going to pay more to watch a show on my computer. That's my problem with this show.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm probably going to wait a week until it just comes on NJPW World. Again, it feels a little bit like a standalone show, which I'm excited about. I want to see these matches, but is it really part of the traditional New Japan canon where I'm not going to where I'm going to miss something if I get to the next one? So I'll probably wait a week.
So Night 3 is not included in New Japan World live.
It will be a week later because they're doing it as a pay-per-view for charity. I get a part of the proceeds are going to the Japanese Red Cross, and they're working with Noah's service, and I think it's going to be about the equivalent of $40 ish. If I have any of that wrong, Garrett, I'm sorry.
No, look. If it was available on something that like if there was a package or a streaming service or something like that to where I'm already paying for it, I would definitely watch it. But to go outside of that and to pay, a different price for a show that I'm only going to be able to watch on my computer and maybe I can, AirPlay it to my TV or something. But that's just not how it works today. Maybe it's because we're spoiled, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show, but sort of like what Steven was saying.
Bottom.
Rock bottom from Roman.
So it won't be on Fight?
No, I don't think it will be, right? It's not on Fight. I don't think
it's on a completely different service that I'd never heard before. I'm assuming it's a Japanese service.
Probably.
So I think it's on Noah's usual service.
Oh, is that what it is? Noah's service?
I had a thought about who could be the next Cena, and Braun Breaker, I'm not going to completely discount it, but he does seem to have all the tools together that.
Okay, but this is the Braun Breaker version of Cena, where he's in the
hometown gear.
No, he's in the green tights facing Kurt Angle. This isn't the version
ruthless aggression.
Yeah, he's in the hometown gear. Every week he changed it up to match the hometown sports teams.
So our friendship's going and going.
Superman punch from Roman.
If
spoiler alert.
The second or third version of Braun Breaker that we're going to see, I could definitely see him being in the mix for sure.
Yeah,
he needs a better
theme. The Rex Steiner version of Braun Breaker, I could see definitely being something. Not this version though. As far as being the next Cena, I think he'll have to have a couple of evolutions of character.
He has that Scott Steiner personality of '99 already, and it literally took Scott a decade to get that, and he has it in close to it in under a year. It's amazing.
You know what's my worry? And this is always my worry when it comes to this stuff, is we see this guy on NXT killing fools, and then Vince sees him standing next to Omos, and he's like, "No, he's not really that big. I'm not that excited anymore." That's my worry for someone like him, because he's not 6'5". He's a 6. He's like a 6'1", 6'2", real athlete.
Like Vince won't see him against the tall guys, but for the previous NXT guys, Vince hasn't seen me, gets him up, and he's like, "Oh, I don't like this guy." At least with Braun Breaker, Vince is like, "I've seen him, I like him."
Oh, so shit!
Action's picking up here, boys.
God.
Yeah. Every time he does that.
That was a tough man.
That one looked a little worse. So finishing up with Matthew thinks it's going to be an all-time great and historical show. The other thing is, though, I'm not really following Noah that closely. So the matches that could be historical and all-time great, like obviously if it's like Muta and Tanahashi, but I'm not currently aware of a lot of their top guys, and I haven't seen a lot of their matches.
Keno is going to really shine on that show.
That was my Korakuen Hall show. It was a Noah N1 show in 2019.
No way.
I went there in 2019 for a trip to Japan, which was my dream trip, and the Noah was in the N1 phase, and I got to see one of the nights there. It was pretty phenomenal. That was a good card. It was a good show, and I didn't know. I mean, I knew about Noah just from following some of the stuff, but I can't say I knew it like I knew New Japan or anything. But
sure,
terrific show. Yeah, it's real good. I was in Tokyo for we were in Japan for 11 days. I was in Tokyo for 8 of them. I was in Osaka for 3. Guess which 3 nights, all 3 of them, that New Japan ran Korakuen Hall. The 3 nights I was in Osaka.
4th.
It's like, son of a gun.
That's how it goes.
We got to be getting close to a finish here.
It's got to be coming down. But anyway, that was. But Noah has a lot of great talent is the point. I'm sure it's going to be a terrific show, and I do look forward to seeing it. I'm not sure I'm going to pay extra to see it live. For me,
I'm a little concerned about how soon it's happening after the Wrestle Kingdom nights, though, because that New Japan side is going to be so just run down and hurting. And
for sure.
Yeah, because I think they're still going to. I don't know if they're going to still do New Year's Dash right after the Dome either. So we'll see.
Maybe outside the main event for a couple big matches, it's a bunch of 6-man and 10-man tags or something.
Well, the story here basically is that Roman can't quite finish him. He's gotten like 3 Superman punches. He's hit the spear.
This is bad.
Oh crap! Yeah, he's going again.
Up, guillotine.
Oh.
It's gonna get DQ'd, man. You better let go.
Oh, please don't do that finish.
Yes, until
Oh.
For kicking too much ass.
You guys are giving us great spoilers because we're in that 30-second behind thing here. So
so I'm watching on
We're
Xbox,
excited
so
for
I guess
oh no.
Oh.
That was the box.
it's so.
I know exactly where you are now.
Spoiler.
God, he is so strong.
He is really strong.
He does this stuff and it looks
Oh God.
like
Hit
he's
it.
just herking him up there.
Mm.
A blind man can see this.
Good stuff. Yes. that bald guy that just rolled his eyes in the crowd is the only human being that didn't realize what was about to happen.
The blind granny in the back row is like, "Come on."
Heppin Mary is over there. He's gonna grab the rope.
She saw it when Bruno did it. She saw it now.
I wish they'd give Big E a little bit better of a finish. I've never been a fan of that one.
It always looks a little stupid.
It looks like he's dropping the guy on himself almost.
It's like Abyss's black hole, or no, the flatliner, where it's like, okay, so you put the guy's body weight on you.
Yeah.
Huh? Like Canyon's the only guy that really did the flatliner in a way that made it look like it was good because he just snapped you so quickly. You bought it as an inverted Russian leg sweep.
See, I knew that announcer's desk had lasted too long tonight.
The argument on the big ending is that Big E is so heavy that he goes down harder and he takes you with him.
His arms are giant too. Like it helps that you are like landing stomach first on his arms, but still, like it's like the greetings from Asbury Park. It's like what part of this logically is supposed to hurt somebody?
As long as Big E does not look like a stupid baby face here.
Yeah.
Don't curse it, Garrett. Don't curse it.
I'm a little bit.
He does
worried
have
about
friends,
it.
you know.
Yeah, the friends haven't come in yet. We're still.
But they're in different brands. So they're not allowed to. I'm kidding.
We're still a ways away.
I am surprised how long this match has lasted. I did not think it would go this long. I'm not complaining necessarily. It's just I thought this one was going to be a much quicker one.
Me too.
It's been a very formulaic. Just if you played this match in a video game and had the computer play it, this would basically be what you had.
I mean, it's Roman style right now for
It's
sure.
definitely starting to pick up. Sorry.
But it's also good. Like we were joking around like the first 8 to 10 minutes of the match. It was slow, and it was slow.
But it was to tell a story,
right?
To be fair,
That's why
those first 8 to 10 minutes mattered later.
Yes,
and
I think we just
done.
Bing bomb.
there it is.
There's a wrestler that Big E is reminding me of right now, and a Tomohiro Ishii. Just hulking up, doesn't affect me. I'm gonna hit you harder. Hit me hard, I'll hit you harder back.
I thought you were gonna say from the losing perspective because he always loses. The big
Well, I have a feeling that's where it's going.
Ishii won the last time we saw him.
He did. Ishii, that's his title, man.
God, I wouldn't mind Big E versus Ishii. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Big E. I wouldn't mind Ishii against just about anybody. That guy might be my favorite wrestler.
Though,
what about Caleb Conley?
You could say that match on Dynamite was not necessary, I guess.
I haven't seen it yet. It's still on the DVR. I got to watch 8 hours of WWE every week. I got to. Dynamite's a nice palate cleanser, but I don't always get to it the way I want to.
My hack is I just watched the Hulu version of Raw, which is an hour and a half, and they eliminate most of the terrible stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only an hour and a half show.
That's a pro tip right there.
Is that 90 minutes with commercials or without?
On my Hulu, it's clipped out. All commercials are clipped out. So it's
90 minutes of content.
Yeah. All right. So
there we have it.
We're done.
I guess we're gonna have to tune in tomorrow night. We'll have to tune in tomorrow night to find out about the egg, guys. What the hell?
Yeah, what's going on with the mystery egg? It's a 30
gonna come out anytime.
All right. Are they going to black on us here?
I would have done a wild victory lap had Big E won this match, and he did not. So you guys don't get a wild victory lap. I don't know.
You know what's so interesting about this match? Big E doesn't have an out in any way in losing because he didn't get screwed. He didn't get the Usos didn't come out. His own team didn't backfire on him. He just lost. I mean, I kind of like it in a way because
someone's better than someone. Like,
that's what it should be about. But
I
also
would
they didn't protect him in any way.
I would like for someone to watch the Roman versus Drew McIntyre match from last year and see exactly how similar it was.
I remember that match. It was really similar. I mean, it's a good match though. It's not a bad thing, I don't think, to have a specific style that just makes a bunch of good matches. All right, I think we can go here. So I want to thank again all the people who are hanging out with us, especially our buddy Larry, who's there from the beginning. Larry was hanging out with us this whole time. Official Lil Silver was there. Matthew, thank you for hanging out with us. I know Scott Young was in here for a little while. Chris, obviously, who had to leave. Chris and Zach, and we had another. Who was the other guy? The music guy who was in here earlier. I forgot his name.
Rick Boogs.
Peter H. was in here a little bit. Oh, Mel Zeno Music was the other one.
Music, yeah.
So thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. That was a long show, but it was a lot better being that I didn't have to watch it by myself and listen to that terrible commentary. So
thanks for hosting us, Garrett. It was really cool.
Great. It's awesome. Jeremy Peoples, thank you for being here. I know CJ, he had some internet issues, so he bowed out. John Quinn.
Check my dinner didn't go bad on me tonight.
Stephen Conway, Jeremy Finestone, myself,
Pleasure
Double G, at Fight Game Media. Check us out. Check out the Patreon. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.